but I don't think he likes her. Because when you like someone, you like them for who they are, not just for what they actually do. And sometimes people get married to people who just do something for them. And Sean, you know this because we had a conversation about this on this panel, talking about women doing the exact same thing. When a woman writes an Instagram post, now he's not the most handsome person, but he does do X, Y, and Z for me. And we're like, she just wants him because he did stuff. That's exactly what we're talking about, though, right? People choose people and settle with people because they love them, because they do things for them, not because they like the person. And I think by him not describing much things that are positive about her character or her beauty is concerning to me, because men do not actively choose women that they don't find attractive. So the fact you can't even mention how good looking she is, there's a whole meme that says she's attractive to me, which means as men, we choose women that are attractive. We don't choose women that are not attractive to us. So if you don't describe about how beautiful she thinks she is, either you don't believe she's beautiful or you don't believe she's beautiful. It's just that simple. And as a man, you've got to hold your own, because even if my boys don't think my girl's attractive, I'm going to tell you straight, that chick right there, she's fine as hell. I don't care how you feel, how you feel, how you feel, and how you feel. This girl's a baddie to me. This is why I chose her, because she's attractive to me and she has these qualities that I like. It's that simple. Anything else, I think we're trying to give this guy a pass beyond what we need to give him. Now, personally, I honestly think I think he told absolute truth without actually saying much. And I think that was what was concerning me, But go on, Mr. VIP, JR. We know JR going to be on one side or the other, whichever one, but he's going to be strong. So, Mr. VIP.
Yo, good evening, everyone. Yeah, listening to the discussion, I can see elements of both sides. Thing is, I got to go with Sean though, because this was a sports podcast. It isn't a relationship podcast. It was a side note, a side conversation asking about the marriage. Really, they're there to talk sports, talk football, talk his career, right? I don't know much about this guy, so he's probably in like a new player and still trying to establish himself. So I think when he talked about being like having tunnel vision, focused on his career, being away from like socializing and things like that, focusing more about what he wants to do career wise. I think that's legit because, from what I've seen in stats wise, it's like only 4% of people that want to play pro football actually make it. So he's achieved something monumental before he even met her. And she has had an astounding, amazing career before she even met him. So I know people are trying to knock him for not knowing who she was, but that actually makes the relationship more authentic. He didn't know that she was this outstanding, legendary gymnast initially. And that means that their connection was more authentic. He isn't just looking at who her following is, what she's accomplished, how much money she make, and all these type of things. He actually liked her for who she was. And albeit it happened on a dating app and she chose him too, but she was right there. She was Kiki and, I think they have a good relationship. I don't think he needed to talk her up in that particular scenario. However, if they appear on a couples podcast or something about love and relationships and dating and all that stuff, then you'll probably hear them gushing over each other a bit more. I didn't get any impression that he's jealous of her or that he's somewhat not attracted to her or anything like that. I think there's a time and season for all of that stuff. And on the pivot, it's mainly a sports show. And then finally, I'll just say, listen, Simone Biles is by most people's idea of aesthetics in the community, I'm sure she's ranked very highly. She's a very cute young lady. Now, if he had started talking about, oh, well, listen, she a gymnast. She can do the splits. She can cut the leg up. She can do all types of stuff in the bedroom that none of y'all girls can do because she a gymnast. Then we would be saying, rah, like, bruv, you're oversharing. It's a sports podcast. And you're talking about how athletic and nimble and flexible this girl is. You see what I'm saying? So I think we have to tread carefully. Like, everything is contextual. And in the context of where they were at the time, I think the relationship question was just a side note. It wasn't the main focus. And I think he was trying not to make it the main focus of why he was there. He was just trying to stay on point. Listen, I'm an upcoming footballer. This is what I want to do with my career. Blah, blah, blah. He might not never make it. But to where he wants to be. He might not ever win the championship or Super Bowl. But he has to also, be respectful of his marriage whilst also respecting the privacy that must be so hard to attain with both of them being celebrities.
Now I know you moving mad. I know you moving mad. You lot are moving mad today. All of you have lost the plot. All of you have lost the plot. What? What are you not telling me about context?
What did you eat today?
Just tell me what did you take today? Did you drink an energy drink? You've not had your Snickers. Because you've not had your Snickers.
You're on like level 50,000. I don't understand why you want to drive this narrative so badly without enough information. I'm sorry, I haven't seen enough. You guys feel like you have. You want to rest on your intuition and what you know. Go for it. I'm just not gonna be so quick to make the statement. And anybody
we
that
do
can,
this all the time.
Yeah, no, I understand we do, but this one I'm not because I haven't seen enough. I really haven't. If we had a little Black Love forum where they were talking about their relationship and we had enough context for that conversation to fully play out, then go for it. I'll be willing to switch my gears. Right now, I'm not. I just feel like he hasn't done enough. And just because he's not overly impressed with Simone Biles, just like everybody else is, so what? Truth be told, yes, do I know who Simone Biles is? But I wouldn't be singing her, I wouldn't be singing through the rafters either, but I might marry her.
Point.
But I'm just saying.
No, that's not, you just proved the
but
point.
I don't think that. But wait. Just let me finish.
Oh, no, sorry, let me finish. My bad.
So my point is, and this is where I've rounded out to the saying, I'm leaving room for some evolution because it doesn't matter if the aesthetics are there. If he sees, and I don't think that he's not attracted to her. I do think he's attracted to her. The subcontext is he might not be like, oh my gosh, she's the finest woman on the planet. He might not, that might not be how he feels. Okay, and what I'm saying, my final point is, I don't think that's necessary for a marriage. And I don't think I necessarily have to have that to have a successful marriage and to, I don't think it has to be that like wild, standing on the rooftops thing.
Sean, here's my confusion. Knowing Sean, this is why I'm so confused by this take by you. I don't believe there is a time, even with the way you big up your friends, let alone a wife, you will be at a corporate dinner, an investment dinner, anything, anywhere. And a person who you work with says, oh my gosh, your wife, oh, I know she was such a catch and such a prize. And your response would be, I'm the catch. You would never. I don't think, I'm not even taking it as far as he need to be on the prize talking about Simone is a gift from God and she's this and that and be gushing over her. Would a woman love their husband to do that? Yes. I think the problem is that forget all that. He didn't even stay neutral. He didn't even say, you know what, I'm so lucky to have her and go back to talking about football. Because that's where you and JR are throwing me off. It's a football podcast. He could have simply said, I am so lucky to have her. I love my wife, this and that, and go back to talking about football.
But he did that in his own words.
Bro, no, he
what did he do? What did he do?
He didn't.
Listen, did he say anything disparaging or disrespectful? I missed that part.
No, why do we have to keep going to saying something disparaging? No, JR. Why do we have to go to the point of he had to say something disparaging? Why is it that when someone leaves something out, we can't also interpret what they're saying?
Bro,
what did he leave out? Listen, if the roles were reversed and Simone was being interviewed about her gymnastic career, are we seriously expecting her to, if asked about him, to start gushing and cooing over him and start
what's this gushing and cooing stuff that you're talking about? How's it a gush thing to say that I love my partner? You lot are going to mad extremes. I'm scared
He
for you
wasn't
lot.
asked if he
Because
loved
that's
his
not how you lot
partner.
really talk. When you behind the JR, you behind the scenes and you show behind the scenes, that's not how you talk about your women that you like.
Yeah, but
I need you
he
to get the
was no,
frick
but
out of
what?
here. That is not how you
Listen,
talk about
I hear
women.
that.
You,
He
JR,
was,
are the one that says this
listen.
girl's a baddie, this one's a baddie, this one's a baddie, my ex was a baddie, this one's a baddie, this one's a baddie. Get the frick out
Yo,
of here.
but hey, but I'm not Chad or whoever this guy's name is. But all I'm saying is, like,
Jonathan.
yeah, Jonathan, right?
You call him
Another
Chad.
Jonathan. Oh damn, we're really in trouble now. No, but the thing is, right? Like he was trying to talk about the relationship, but that wasn't the question. Wasn't how much do you love her? How much are you attracted to her? You're expecting him to ad lib and add on more than what he needed to do. He didn't have to do that.
All he
What
could have
positive thing did you say, JR?
shout out. That's all. A simple shout out. Oh, a little compliment wouldn't have been too much, but the fact that
He's gushing.
oh my days.
He said
And you want to talk about
he said that she
No,
helped
no,
him out
yeah.
when he was feeling like he had a bad game. That's pretty big.
No,
So does your friend do that, JR? Your friend does that. I have people that help me with a podcast on YouTube. You know what I'm saying? It's not very difficult to say. You like certain things about somebody. Do you only like your girlfriend because she helps you with certain things with your fitness program?
No.
That's my point. So when I
you know,
ask questions about your girlfriend, why you like what's going on with her, right? If you find her attractive or whatever, you're gonna tell me, yeah, I like my girlfriend. She's a beautiful girl, right? Because you've said it on a podcast before. This is why I'm looking at you and Sean. I'm confused because on the actual podcast that we've done live, you've said so many things about women and people that you've dated, more positive things than he said about his current wife. That is concerning for me. That is where I'm looking at it going, why are you guys talking about context
but
when
I'm
the
just that
context of
type
the
of guy,
question
man.
is, huh?
I'm just that type of guy. Like I'm a big them up, but that doesn't mean he is.
And JR, just remind Kojo what kind of podcast this is. What kind of channel do you run?
Exactly.
You run a
Exactly.
relationship channel, which is all about having healthy and positive relationships, using words of affirmation, appealing to people's love languages. That's not who I don't know him to be that. Okay, and he's on a podcast about football, and he is also a football player. So it's like I'm not going to put my expectations and where I operate onto him and then using that as that until he says something to make me believe otherwise. You get what I'm saying? Like, I think
Exactly.
what a
We don't
lot
know
of
if
us
this
are
brother's got
doing
CTE or
are
anything.
putting our value and how we think he should show up on him, and then because he's not showing up that way, now we're making a judgment. But I haven't seen enough to know that. You know, he isn't me. He doesn't operate in a relationship like I would. I can see that enough, but I don't know that he's problematic until I can get more information.
Okay, beautiful, Sean. Now let's do a test. Sean, would you do what he did, or would you explain a bit better how much you like your wife?
I might. I don't know.
Okay. No, you
If
would.
I was married to
Jeff,
Simone
would you say
Biles,
positive?
I might.
Would,
I might.
that's all. Jeff, would you say positive things about your wife? They asked you a question about your wife.
Of course. Of course.
Thank you. That's what I needed. JR, would you say positive things about your wife if they asked about your wife or girlfriend, whatever you want to call it?
Yes, I would.
That's what I needed. I would say something as well. That's 4 out of 4 men who would happily say positive things about their partners, and we're pretending as if one man that's saying something, we don't know what he's suddenly doing. All of a sudden, we don't know what he's doing. I want to give him grace and everything like that. And there are 4 men on a panel who can tell me indefinitely this is not how they would also handle things. You would not sit there when they're telling, and someone makes a conclusion to you and says to you, "I don't think." Is it safe to say that you know what that you didn't want Simone Biles? And then your response is, "Well, I mean, just to let you know, I was having commitment issues." I don't care if it's a sports podcast. I don't care if it's an F1 podcast. I don't care if it's a lifestyle podcast. I don't care if you're talking about food. If they ask about your partner, this is a great opportunity to talk about your partner, and you end up taking it to answer the question, you better answer it correctly. Because out of the heart, the mouth is speaking, right? Oh, that was the other way around. That's the other way around. But anyway, you know what I mean, right? So... Forgive me, Queenie. You know what I mean? So, like, so for me personally, I'm going, I can't believe we're having this conversation when there are 4 of us guys on this panel, and we do this every week that we're saying we're projecting, but every week we don't have enough information for certain things, and we make judgments, right? JR is number 1 judgment person. The first week on Ready to Love, he gets an inkling, and he starts slewing people. So I don't want to hear about we ain't got enough information. Sean too. He been just like me and just like Jeff. When we start Ready to Love, we have not enough information when we start, but we all have a position that we stand on. So how come all of a sudden I don't have enough information, so I don't want to make no judgments about him? It's like, come on, come on,
Hey, hey,
come on.
hey,
What
hey.
is
Anyway, before
Don't
anyone
you
jumps in,
go,
let me get
don't
Queenie.
do,
Let me get Queenie first.
don't
Huh?
do
What you
that
say,
to
Sean?
me. I
Negro,
just
you
said
know you
don't
make
do that to
judgments.
me. Don't,
You
don't
know you make judgments. You make judgments, bro. Okay? Kirsten, you've been
let's
defending
let
from man at
Queenie
first sight. We
go.
went back and
Our
forth.
beautiful, wonderful queen and wonderful creator. Let's lift her up and praise her for the beauty and brains that she is. Please, Queenie, please speak.
speak life into her, Sean, man.
I've been cackling. This is hilarious. Everybody can hear me.
Yeah.
Yes, great. I kind of tuned in late when you guys were having the conversation, so I don't know if anybody has said this. I feel like the biggest issue for me personally is the fact that he took the bait. You could tell the line of questioning was like, how are we gonna get him? And they got him. And I was just like, it I said on my channel, a simple, she made her intentions known. And from that moment, I just knew I had to know more about her, or I knew I had to get her. End it there. Don't feed into anything else they're saying. Don't try to say, oh no, but you know, like she really was on your boy. It's irrelevant. Because, like y'all are saying, it's a football podcast, right? Just say, listen, that's a good woman. I love her. I love everything about her. She's the light of my life, the apple of my eye. Let's move on. End of story for me.
Thank you.
It's not hard, boys, is it? Really? It's not hard, is it? Yeah.
Yeah, but yeah, again, you're trying to paint a broad canvas like all men are the same, bro. You already know, like there's guys out here that don't they don't embellish their girl like that. Like you already know that. Like everybody
Oh,
doesn't do that, bro.
But
So
JR, what
all
do
I'm
you
my
mean
saying,
God.
about
JR.
there having to
all
be
I'm
embellishment?
all
There
I'm saying
doesn't need to
is
be
like he was
embellishment.
authentic in what he said. She was there, key and
That's the
smiling.
problem.
She didn't screw up her face and was like, "Hey, you're downplaying me." Or you're embarrassing me. We didn't get that from her. Like
You know
this is a
why?
new young couple. They're both successful. Man, like I think we're just over analyzing everything right now.
No,
Like
you
if
want to
they were
know?
in a
Wow,
relationship, say
JR.
for example, if they were on Latarius or they were on this channel or whatever, and they were
JR.
being asked specifically about how they met and how they feel about each other and all that stuff, then yeah, I would expect them to go into details like that, both of them. But if
JR.
you think like I know personally, I'll be real. If I'm on a show to talk about my career, say I was doing something and they were talking about either personal training or property or something like that, right? And they asked about my relationship. Yeah, I would probably just give some some light comments about my missus because it's not what I'm there to do. In fact, I'm going to be more guarded and try and protect the secrecy and privacy of my relationship. Why? Because I know that I've got something going with her, and I don't want to um, overshadow what I'm actually there to do. If I'm there to promote my business or my brand
Joy,
or what I do as
Oh,
an athlete, I'm not elevating my relationship into
Yes,
that conversation.
Queenie.
can
Yes,
I
Queenie.
just
Then
say,
Queenie,
I
then
hear
Jeff.
what you're saying, right? It's
Oh, okay.
not the
No, sorry.
space to
Family, then
have that
Queenie, then
kind of
Jeff.
conversation. But at the end of the day, he fed into having the conversation. So can we talk about what was said? That's
Mm,
the part that I'm not getting with what y'all are saying. Like, oh, it's a sports podcast. Cool. But right now he's talking about his girl. So can we talk about what was said and what wasn't said about Simone?
right.
mm-hmm.
What was said negatively about Simone?
What was said in a positive light?
That she, when he has a bad game, this was like she is there to
JR, be for real. JR, be for real.
Stop it.
Be for real right
he's
now.
he's his biggest
Jesus.
cheerleader and critique at home,
No,
and that
no,
motivates him
no, no.
watching
None of
tapes
you,
of the game.
none of you have anything positive to say about Simone because you never gave anything that was positive. You are struggling. You're
So
sweating to even give a positive.
listen.
Yeah, Sean, give us
I
a
went,
positive.
I went on the page, right? So they were talking about a time when Simone was down, and
Okay.
how he worked together with her, and just encouraged her, built her up, and told her to keep going. And she was talking about how I think it was in the thing where she was talking about how he helped her get through a very difficult time in her career. But everybody is stuck on this fact that, because I see in the post on IG, and I put it in our group chat on Instagram. And somebody says, "You are the Simone Biles' husband. Don't ever disrespect her like that." The host
Yeah,
responded and
that's
was
rude.
like, "These two are in love. These two are in love. I saw them laughing, smiling, kissing, and they're both in love with each other." So all I'm trying to say is I think people are getting stuck on one part of it, and we want to see it because we view Simone as this elevated person, and she is due to her prowess, but we're expecting him to do that because we are outsiders in their relationship. He shouldn't see her as Simone Biles, the Olympian, because then that
Exactly.
makes their relationship off balance. He should see her as, this is my wife. This is I love her. Maybe his things are other things. Hey, look,
No,
you can play all your
honestly,
sound effects, but from what I'm seeing up to this point, this man has not downplayed his wife yet. Because he said he's the prize. Hey,
Exactly.
at his age, I'm assuming he's 30. I walked around and thought I was the prize too. So maybe there's a part of me that identifies with him. And if somebody asked me, I would say it. Trust me, I would. I'll say it today. So I don't think it's a big deal. And I don't think me being the prize makes her not the prize. I think we're both
uh,
prizes. So that's how I feel. Now, if somebody doesn't feel that way or feels like their woman needs to be elevated above them, I don't think like that. I don't think like, oh, if I'm with a
Nor
woman,
do I.
she has to be so much better than me. No. Could she be beautiful? Should
no
she?
one's
What do I want her to be beautiful? Sure. But I'm still gonna think I'm the prize. I'm still gonna think I have lots of things to offer and there's value to being with me. It doesn't take away from her because I'm saying about me.
okay,
So
Sean.
wait, I
Exactly.
think I'm getting it now. I think I'm getting what the boys are saying now. Not that I agree with you. I'm saying I'm getting what you're saying. I think I'm getting your angle here. Are you guys fighting the angle that we are saying that Simone is better? Because I want to make it very clear. I don't think Simone is better than him. I don't care if she's a superstar. I don't care if she's the greatest Olympian. That's never been my angle. It's never been about she's better than him. Because I keep hearing from both of you saying we're trying to elevate her on a pedestal. I don't care about how great of an Olympian she is. It's irrelevant to me. It's about how do you feel about her. And on a normal, sorry, I had to cut out mosquito. On a normal day-to-day business, all right. Sorry,
I thought that was a
on a
picture of the
normal
husband.
day-to-day situation. On a normal day-to-day business, right? Right? When two people like each other, when they're asked a question, they would say something positive. Okay, so let's just ask this question to the two people that are disagreeing with us. Okay, accept him talking about how she helped him with his own career. What did he say in that clip that we saw? And you can bring another part of the clip that you might have saw on the other show that was positive about her. I think that's what Queen E was asking. What did he say that was positive? JR already said he doesn't have an answer because he tried it and he didn't have one. He said about how he helped her career, and that is not an answer. So Sean, oh, he's even dropped off. We can't even ask him. He'll come back. By the way, sorry, but, Jeff and then Queen E. Jeff and then Queen E.
Because here's the thing. Yes, it's a sport talk show. Cool. I get that. They asked him the question about the relationship and they literally trapped him about. So that means you were the prize in this. Like, this was his perfect time to shine and just literally just spread a little positivity and say something nice about your wife. That was a time for him to do that. Or he could have said, you know what, I don't really talk about my wife. I don't like. You could have protected your sanctity by literally just saying, look, I don't really talk about my relationship. Let's move on to the topic. You could have said that. But the fact that you said commitment issues, that's the first thing that you come up with. That's the first thing you come up with. Come on.
Yeah.
And look,
Oh,
hold on. And also, none of, look, if he knows, there are some guys who know that they're very attractive. Like, sometimes this is where, look at like Simone doing all the kiki haha, and he may like that. But the fact that he couldn't at least say something positive, all you could come up with was she helped me out with my career. Like she helped me out. Well, like, come on, that's literally what he said. He didn't make any disparaging remarks, but neither did he show any sign of, oh, she's done something that highlights her character. I talked about how she's a hard worker, that she's a grinder, that she's someone who inspires me to be the. She did nothing like that. Nothing.
yeah, but That's because he hasn't lived that experience with her. She's already successful before they met. She already been doing this thing a long time before they met.
Hey, Jay, before you go, Queen E go next. Because JR's going to kill us. JR going to kill us. JR wants us dead. They generally wants us dead. Queen E, you next. Because JR wants us dead.
I'm just going to go quickly so the new people can say, there's power in what is said and what is not said. And we can act like we don't think so or whatever. Body language, eye contact. We receive information from various forms of communication, you know what I mean? And I think the fact that it was more important to him in that moment, that specific moment that we all have seen going around, to make it known to everyone, I want you to know who went after who. I want you to know who had to, I don't want to say earn, let me not say earn, but yeah, this might be the big name Simone Biles that you guys know, but in my world, she was just any old girl. So when she came to me, I was like, you know what? Let me think on it, because I got commitment issues. It's only my 3rd year in the game, whatever. Then when I saw her page, then when I saw her out and people responding to her, then when her worth was shown to me, okay, well, you know what? Maybe I could give her a chance. It to me sounded as if it was like, how can I find a way to measure up? But obviously you can't really use accolades in the argument because undoubtedly she's superior in that way. So, okay, well, people look at the aesthetic. People look at him. People look at his rising star. I don't know if we count it as rising, because I was looking at their following too. There's a great disparity. He kind of had to find a way to even out the playing field. And in my personal opinion, a way that he would do that is kind of to humble her. I had to be convinced. I had to see what she was about. I had to, make her work for it a little bit. I don't know. It just didn't sit well with me. I think there's power in what was said. There could have been more that he said to shine light on, even though all of that was present. I see how amazing of a woman she is, whatever. And the conversation move on. The fact that he did not say that just makes me look at him sideways a little bit. That's all.
And Queenie, can you just say that wasn't even necessary to the question? The question was, how did you bag Simone Biles? If he didn't want to talk about Simone, or he didn't want to get into the facts of the matter because maybe she actually went after him in reality, all he had to do was say, you know what, man, I don't even know, but I'm happy that she's here now. Or can't call it, but, we're... He had to say. He actually didn't even need to give any of the backstory. The fact that he didn't give a short answer, since this is allegedly about football, and he actually took the time to go into detail about how she went after him, that's the problem. That's what you really can't argue with. He could have kept it cute and short, right? If he wanted to make it about football. Instead, he went out of his way. And I think that is where we got to meet in the middle at, because he didn't have to do that.
Yeah, I just feel like there is an element of projection on both sides. So we can't pretend that, just as y'all are saying we're projecting or we're being defensive of him, y'all are projecting too, because it's like y'all want him to do very specific things that just may not be in his wheelhouse to do. Like you're expecting him to anticipate what everybody's going to flip out for. What I think is, this isn't a problem for Simone and Jonathan. I think this is a world's problem. This is the social media issue, that people are looking at the disparity in their relationship and expecting him to be lauding Simone, because technically, when you look at it, she's the bigger star than he is. So we need to make sure she's protected. Because he didn't come out and sing her praises, now everybody is jumping on his back when we really don't have the evidence, but we're expecting him to not say it. It might not even be an issue for them. This might not even be their problem. So between the two of them, they're like, babe, this is not an issue. So I'm going to just speak freely in terms of what happened,
right? I'm just telling the story as it happened. And guess what, guys? You want to be mad at him? Be mad at Simone. She shot her shot at him. There's no denying that, right? So we can't control that's what she did. He didn't make it up. It's not a lie. That's what she did. She was more interested in him than he was in her in the beginning. And then it evolved and he fell in love with her and they got married. You know what I'm saying? So I think we're expecting like, oh, this is problematic. It might not be a problem for them. It might not be an issue for them. We're making it one because we're saying, hey, we've seen this happen before and we need to see X, Y, and Z, but it might not be their issue. We might just be projecting something we've seen before onto them. That's not an issue.
I think I said that earlier. Didn't I say that, Kojo? I originally said that Simone may not have an issue because of the. I said that earlier. I don't think just because she doesn't have an issue means that there isn't one. Yeah, I think she played a part in it. You know, so anyway.
Well, I just want to say that and again, I'm not even talking about you guys projecting. I've never mentioned you guys projecting. I feel like you're having a totally different argument to what we're talking about. I promise you, I swear to God, because two things that you guys have mentioned, I've never said in my chat, in that last video, and I've not said it here. I've not said you guys are projecting. I've said that you guys are not being honest, because when you tell your stories, this is not how you tell your stories, but I've never said you guys are projecting. I've never said that. And number two, I've also not said that she's better than him. I've never mentioned that. So I don't know if we're having a separate argument because I've never mentioned, and I've not heard any of the ladies on the panel or any of the guys on the panel mention who's better than who. I don't believe any of them are better than the other person. I know that she's a star, but that makes no difference. What I was talking about is simply put as this. And if that is the case, it gives us more insight into why he answered the question the way that he answered it. That would mean to me that he's insecure. Because if they intentionally set him up with a question to make it sift that she's a star, you've got to be smart. Right? You've got to be smart in how you answer this question, right? But the reality of the situation is he answered it too truthfully because that's actually how he felt. So when they said, oh, she's a bigger star, I wouldn't have been impressed. What you're telling me, and there's a way he heard it, that's a problem. I think that's why we're having all this argument, because if someone tells me, how did you bag Simone? I'm going to be like, let me tell you a story. I'm thinking to me, you bigging me up. Why am I thinking that you're bigging her up? You're telling me, how did I bag that worldie? Yes, how did I bag the worldie, bro? Because I got skills like that. Instead, he spent most of the time trying to say he the prize. And then didn't tell us anything nice about his actual wife, about who's actually dating. So forgive me if I hear your story, and when you tell me your story doesn't tell me anything nice about her, which is why none of you can tell me something nice about her, because you don't know anything nice about her, because he ain't told you nothing nice about her, right? So we're having almost like a different argument because I've never downplayed who he was in comparison to her. We're not making comparisons. We're simply saying, why can't you out of your mouth, using the tongue that God gave you, the simple tongue that you use to talk and to eat with, to say something nice about your wife on this podcast? And then we've flipped it and said, well, the context of it is a sports podcast. And it's like, well, what was that going to do the thing? They asked you a question and you could have answered it or left it. You answered it, and now we're holding you accountable to your answer. Okay? So if you don't want to say anything, you don't say anything. You didn't have to say anything. You said something because that's what you believed. And now we're holding them accountable. How we projecting when that's what you said? He hasn't said nothing nice, right? Yeah. So that's me. But let me get the new ladies in before you guys jump in.
Because I want to just clarify, Coach. Because I said we're both projecting. I never said you accused me of projecting. I said, but I think there is a bit of projection going on both sides. So that's one. And the clarity about her being better than him, that's the underlying statement about he didn't know who she was when he said he didn't know who she was, and people are like, come on, you don't know who Simone Biles is, presupposing that he should know who she is because of her status, and then across social media everyone is downplaying him. So absolutely. I just wanted to make that point plain about what I meant when I made the statement.
Okay, so that's okay. I definitely hear that. Let me get the ladies in. I appreciate it. Let me get the ladies in first, and I see you, DUP, as well. Welcome to the panel as well. We like to keep it respectful here, so we welcome you. Lorraine, go for it, and then Precious, and then DUP you can go after Precious is gone. Go for it, Lorraine.
Can you guys hear me?
We can indeed. Yep.
Lovely. I love these kind of conversations. So listen, I'm not sure if you guys know about light-skinned pretty boys. Here in the UK, we have them, right? The ones that don't move to gal, the one that get moved to, right? The one that walk around thinking, yeah, I am the bee's knees. This is him. I don't even know his name. What's his name? Whatever his name is. Mr. Simone Bars. He is a light-skinned pretty boy. So when he was talking, I wasn't even surprised. I wasn't surprised that's what he was saying, because of course he's gonna think that. Of course he's surprised. He has grown up, everybody telling him, I love your eyes. I love your oh my, everyone tells him that he is nice. And he believes it down to his freaking balls that he is nice. So of course he's gonna talk like he's surprised. And guess what? She did move to him. I don't understand what the issue is. The reality of the situation is she saw him and thought, he is nice. I want me a bit of him. And you know what? She bagged him. So to her, he is the prize. In his mind, he will always be the prize. So everything that everyone is trying to say to humble him, you will never humble a light-skinned pretty boy. Never.
Because they still get gal.
Because they will get gal. Anyway, even if Simone Biles would be like, I don't want to, he don't care. He don't get. He be like, I didn't want you anyway. You had to beg me. You had to convince me. It will be a whole issue. So I the reality of the situation is she moved to him. He fell in love with her. They got married, and he genuinely believes he's the price. Whether he is the price or not doesn't matter. Don't matter. He believes it. He believes it, and so does she, and they are happy. And whether they're happy or not, we don't know. There's definitely underlying issues there in terms of like his insecurities, in terms of his self-perception, the fact that he has to overemphasize the fact that there's obviously issues there. We're not saying that there is. However, Simone Biles knows what she's got herself into. She's married to him. Do you not think that he talks to her like that on a day-to-day basis? If he has the kahunas to come up on the whole interweb and talk like this, you better believe he's letting her know that he is the damn prize. Everything. You better get me that food, because guess what? I'm the prize. And she loves it. I honestly, as soon as I saw him when they first started dating, I was like, oh, he is a problem. And he basically said that he used to be a problem before they got serious. He said I didn't want to commit. He was in the streets running from commitment, because that's what these lot do. They've got too many options. Like, a lot of people are projecting at the fact that he had options, and the fact that he's beautiful. It is what it is. Do you know what I mean? Like, it sucks to be you if you don't have them options. It is what it is. Okay, I'm being facetious. What I'm trying to say is that she knows what she's got herself into on some degree, whether she's fully, or whether she's just gassed by the fact that someone who looks like him would be with her. There's also underlying issues with her as well. Like, let's be for effing real. If you're gonna be with somebody who's gonna view themselves that way and not put you on a high pedestal, my mum always used to say to me, God rest her soul, as a woman, you need to be with a man who loves you more than you love him. That's probably going to be a whole argument for a whole nother time. But she loved him, in my opinion, more than he loves her. This is just from that whole snippet that I saw. I didn't watch the whole interview because he wanted to make it plain and clear. Don't ever feel like I bagged her. She bagged me. And he played into that conversation. I could see where the interview was going, and he saw it. He was like, I bet. I've been waiting for this. Let's go. So yeah, that's my
Can I ask a question to that?
Yeah.
Like, the dynamics can be what they are. Like you're saying, he knows he's the prize, whatever. But once you're in a marriage, I personally feel like there's a responsibility of protection on both sides. And it just made me feel uncomfortable that he just had to make sure that everybody knew who was the prize in the situation, even if he really believes that the prize was not Simone or they are equally the prize, whatever his perception is, as a husband, as a spouse, don't you think, how can I find a way to protect my wife in this situation? And if she had the
She was
opportunity to be on the panel, how could I find a way to protect my husband in this situation?
That makes sense. However, you don't change just because you get married. You are who you are. So the person that she married is just so happens now to have the title of her husband. So if he has light skinned pretty boy mentality before they get married, he's going to have that when they get married. So in an ideal world, yes, that is what a husband would want to do. That's what we all want our husbands to do, majority of us. However, she got with a guy who has this kind of mentality, who views who has this perception of the world, of himself like this. So just because he has now become her husband, it doesn't mean that his world perception is going to change. He is who he is, and she loves him for better and for pretty boy light skin.
Lorraine, I think you said kind of what I said earlier, that this is the downfall of her kind of maybe flexing her Olympian status to pull this, pretty boy. I kind of knew also when I first saw them as a couple that could be a problem. I think though, if we reverse it, I'm going to give another example. Let's think of Portia and Simon Guobadia, right? Everybody from the sound of my voice knows why Portia is with Simon Guobadia, right? If Portia got on an interview and said, I'm with this unattractive old man for his money, he wanted me, but I'm here though, people will also have a problem with that. Like, there's certain things that don't need to be said. And just all the women who are with old, unattractive men for their money don't go on interviews announcing that they're old and unattractive. So if he, like Lorraine is saying, which I believe, he's gone through his whole life being the pretty boy prize. Okay. When you're in a marriage or in a relationship that you want to keep, regardless if Simone doesn't have the self-esteem necessary to know that, just because she went and bagged him doesn't mean that she needs to be put down in an interview. He shouldn't have said it for the health of their relationship, because even if both of them are cool with it, even if, let's say, they go home at night and they're cool with it, the amount of pressure that Simone is going to have to deal with from now until the next internet thing is going to put a lot of stress on their marriage. And anybody married or in a serious relationship knows you don't need no more stress than you probably already dealing with on a day-to-day basis. The amount of stress that he's going to put and pressure he's going to put on her to have to defend why she's with a man that put her down in the interview is going to be a lot. So it doesn't matter what the situation is. JR, you're shaking your head. What part of that don't you agree with? You don't think that she's dealing with a lot of stress?
No, I'm shaking my head because I didn't hear the put down part. So that's what I'm saying. And maybe I need to watch it again and see if he actually put her down. But I didn't see that part, so that's why I'm shaking my head.
No, you didn't put her down, but
I think it's putting her down, let's reword it. It's not lifting her up to go out of your way to announce that you are the prize and she chased after you as a woman in society. Because if we're not being obtuse, right? Let's be real. No woman, it's even in 2023, is it cute to say that you went after a man. Now, there's like some shoot your shot stuff that goes on nowadays, but that's not really the story that you want to tell. Is it the reality of some relationships? Sure.
I just feel like if that's their story, if that's the story of how we met, I think that is the problem. People are overly concerned about other people's relationship. Yes, we can opine. I'm not saying we can't have opinions. They're on a podcast, it's on a public platform. We can have an opinion. But I definitely know in my marriage, if I'm doing anything, I'm not going to be overly sensitive to tell a story that's not true. And if she in fact did pursue him, it's okay for them to tell that because we're confident that we're here now. And I don't feel like he should have to go above and beyond because of what public outcry can come, because we've seen it. People are going to be upset about any and everything. We pick apart all celebrity relationships. Okay, there's nobody that's really immune from us having a problem with it. So I don't think that part of the argument, I don't feel like that should be his thing. If that's something him and Simone Biles have spoken about, and that's a sensitivity for her, then yes, that's something that he should be conscious of. But if that's not Simone's issue, then I don't feel like we can say, well, this is what he should do because this is what could happen. Again, she seemed to be very happy with him, and he seemed to be very happy with her. So that's what I'm looking at. I want to see, is there mutuality and reciprocity in their interactions? And I don't see it yet. And I'm saying yet because I'm leaving room that it could go left or there could be more information. But everything that I've heard, and even as I'm kind of going back and looking at other things and different clips from the interview, I don't see him downplaying her. I see them talking about their mental health journey and what they did and the different ups and lows in their relationship, things that we could really take some value in and learn from, but we're so stuck that he's not putting her on a pedestal saying how beautiful she is so that we can feel good that he really likes her. And that's what I think. Now, maybe not you, Queenie, but I feel like a lot of the people in the audience and otherwise across social media need to see evidence that he really likes her because they're looking for something based on what he said.
Sean.
Okay, so wait. I think, and this is why I'm pushing back, right? I think maybe the guys who are against what we're saying are arguing with the audience, and I feel like that. I need you to stop arguing with the audience. We're having a debate. None of us are saying these things. No. Like none of us are saying these things. The point, and it's we're almost minimizing the whole situation to he never called her beautiful. Is that what we said? Is that what we said? Like, I feel like we're minimizing what we said. We did not say that. What we're talking about is the whole overall. It's about 2 minutes long. That clip is about 2 minutes long, right? And what he doesn't say is what we're actually alluding to. We sit on the internet, me, you, Sean, Jeff, Queenie, Mr. VIP, Precious, Seaway, Lorraine, Jace. We all sit on the internet and make deductions about other couples. And suddenly you're saying, well, we shouldn't be making opinions about people so early. You sit on the internet with me, making opinions about people you don't even know. You sit on the internet with me. That's why I'm having an attitude with Sean, because I'm like, you are saying things which are actually double backing onto what you're saying, because we sit on the internet and we have these conversations about other couples. You're saying about, okay, we haven't seen her not being unhappy. Is Ashley happy with Kirsten? At one point she was, but could you call her out for the stuff that she was saying and say that Kirsten was going to have a problem eventually in Ready to Love? Yes, we could, right? You didn't have to wait for Ashley to be suddenly upset with Kirsten to know that something was wrong in that situation. Suddenly we're going, well, as long as she's smiling, everything is good. I'm not going to jump into there. But we do that when we do Ready to Love. Ashley was happy with Kirsten up to a certain point, and then we said no. He said, why did he start mentioning about her nails? He never said she was unattractive. He never said he didn't say anything necessarily negative. But when he was not saying certain things, we all made a deduction about it. We make deductions about people when they don't say something or when they do say something. That's our job on this platform. So why now are you making the argument about, hey, we can't say these things? Keep it to what he said. Did he say anything nice about her? No. What man doesn't have the opportunity to say something nice about their gal?
Just the same way you're missing the context of what I am saying to you.
Okay, maybe I'm missing it. I apologize.
You are, because you are fired up about this, and I get it, and I love the passion.
You know me.
But and I too am passionate about what I think, because I think it doesn't. I'm not saying we don't have a right to our opinions. I'm saying, and I said it like a bazillion times, I'm not saying you're 100% wrong and it can't be. I said I don't have enough information yet for me to see strongly enough. Right. So that's one part of the argument. That's what I exactly was applying to. And I did directly respond to what Seaway just said about how that he should be protecting her in this way, and he shouldn't have said that. That was a direct response to what Seaway said. It wasn't about the audience. It was about what Seaway said. Right. The other part of it, and I think the greater argument that we are having and the debate is about how people view in general Simone Biles, and how people are looking to have Jonathan speak about her because of who we know her to be. So that's the projection part that I'm saying I think might be overly shot. And the other aspect of it is I feel like, yes, sometimes in a relationship, nobody's going to get it right. And we're going to talk about them. Including me, we're going to talk about people's relationships. So we can't play this game of, oh, let me say this right so that nobody talks about me. I think people are going to talk about what you do regardless, because relationships are flawed, just like the people that are in them. So that's what I'm saying. And that's my greater point about this whole situation.
Sean.
Okay. Jeff, then Precious, and then Jace, and then Sam. Yeah, go for it.
I understand that. I think when you're saying, none of us are saying that that Jonathan should be putting her up on a pedestal in terms of compliment. When did just simply saying a positive word about your significant other become putting somebody up on a pedestal? That's not what we're talking about. Like, the fact that he thinks himself as a prize, okay. I personally don't think man or woman should ever be viewing themselves as a quote unquote prize. Because for me, every time I see this happen, when one person thinks that they're a prize, they put themselves up on a pedestal, it creates a level of arrogance, whether it's a man or whether it's a woman. I don't like it. So what tends to happen is that you start treating someone differently based upon the perception of how you see yourself. So if he views himself as a prize, right? He views himself as a catch. You can have confidence in who you are, cool. But then you do realize you are in a relationship with your wife, who you've chosen, who I hope you chose because she's beautiful. If not, it tells me you probably settled with her because you're not low-key attracted to her like that. Or you feel a level of insecurity because you are aware of other things that make her better than you, when in actuality, it shouldn't even be about that. Should it not be about you guys having a similar character? So the fact that you couldn't even open up your mouth to just simply say, oh, give her a bit of a shout out or just a build up, it's not putting her up on a pedestal. It's just simply showing the people there that you have appreciation of her. Yes, it's a sports talk podcast, but how many times do you have people that come up on platforms that will still give shout outs to their wife, even if it's a particular type of podcast? All we're just simply saying is, yo, you just say one little compliment, show appreciation. Or if you don't want to talk about your wife, just say, I don't like talking about I like to be private. That's all you got to do. You would have protected your emotional integrity in the relationship. You'd have done that. He did nothing of the sort. He focused more about himself, his image, basically saying, oh, I have commitment issues. He knows that if he's a pretty boy, he's an F boy, he knows he's that type of guy that gets the gal. And you don't think that, yo, I'm a husband and I have a duty, irrespective of where I am, to be mindful of who I'm talking about. That is it. It's the foresight of knowing that you brought your wife. They're talking about your wife. If a man is talking disrespectful about my wife, you best believe I'm going to check that man. You best believe I'm going to check that man in that moment. That's how it works. You can't, that's why we're thinking that you guys are capping, yeah, when you're saying, yeah, oh, we're just, no. Nah, bro. That's why I think you think you're capping when you say stuff like that. Come on. You mean to tell me that if you were in a situation where someone brought up your wife, you're not at least going to say one positive thing about her? I'm not saying you got to do the most, but at least one positive thing about her that lets people know, oh, you got respect for his wife. Like, I respect that. Like, he likes his wife. Come on. We're doing the most right now, man. You who are so romantic, and I know you. I've seen you on your podcast. You are so romantic and everything. You're telling me you're not going to say something nice about it. Get out of here, man.
Let me get Precious in. Precious, Jace, Sam, and then Sean. I saw your hand.
I am dying right now. This whole thing has become... Anyways, so no, do you know what? I see what Sean is saying, but I think with this situation, right, it's interesting because, okay, so I was thinking while you guys were talking about other couples in these kind of positions, right? Celebrity couples where the woman is maybe at a higher status than the man, right? And I was thinking about all these couples that are there, and I'm trying to remember how they've spoken about each other in interviews and things like that. And I will say this is the first time in which I have seen a couple where like this kind of, I don't know, attitude is brought upon. Let's just say, look, when he clearly was like, I'm a catch, right? Which is, I think, is a fair thing to think and believe. Fine. But you have to also be aware that the way that you say things in the media it comes across a certain way. He came across really arrogant. Now, he may be arrogant, and that's just how he is, and that's fine. It is what it is. But it comes across as arrogant. And when you are in a situation where you didn't really take the time to big up your wife in any shape or form, it looks a certain type of way. Granted, I think when we take into the context that he was on a sports podcast and they've now brought up his wife, who is also an athlete and a more successful athlete than him, maybe, and I'm projecting or guessing, he felt some type of way. Because also, on a second note, it's a bit weird that she was there anyway. It was a bit bizarre. I mean, okay. I mean, I don't know the context of the podcast, but it was a bit weird that she was there anyway. But when I thought about other couples, like when you think about, for example, Scarlett Johansson and Colin Jost, like when they've ever been asked about each other, they've only ever said amazing things about each other. Clearly in that relationship, Scarlett Johansson is Scarlett Johansson, but they've always been really, 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 really sort of praising of each other and just great, like lovely about each other. So the idea that he's now kind of made it very clear that for him anyway, that was the situation where he kind of sees himself as the prize that was won or the catch that was won. It's just a bit, I don't know. I think it's rubbed people off the wrong way. And I think because Simone Biles is so well liked, or at least well respected, I think a lot of people feel a type of way about it, whether rightly or wrongly. I guess on the other side, I'm thinking about when the podcast presenter was like, okay, so you're telling me that you didn't really want her. And he didn't shut that down. He didn't shut that down. That's your wife. A man has just said to you, oh, so you didn't really want your wife, and you didn't shut that down is wild. You didn't go, no, I'm not going to say that. Like, you know, I was really interested in her. I wasn't really trying to commit because obviously I was young. I'm trying to focus on my career, but we had a connection. I fell in love with her. She's amazing. I'm really happy. We've got a great marriage. Easy, done, simple. It doesn't need, you don't even have to be like super Hallmark movie romantic with it. You can just be really basic about it and it's fine. But the fact that you didn't shut that down, that's the part that I really had an issue with, is that you allowed somebody to say that and you didn't shut it down. And that's why I think a lot of people are giving it the side eye. But, you know, as I said, look, I think it's a little bit different because obviously in things like Ready to Love, Married at First Sight, you can see the build up, you can see the red flags coming. We don't know the build up of this relationship. So I think that's what Sean's saying, is that we've just seen the end result. So I get what Sean is trying to say, but I just think that even if just seeing the end result, when a man says to you, oh, so you didn't really want your wife, and you don't shut that down, that's a problem, you know?
Thank you for that, Precious. And I just want to say as well, first of all, maybe where I agree with Sean and JR a little bit. If I'm to argue, against the audience, I think a lot of people's frustration, I don't think it's really aiming at where it needs to aim at. For instance, when he said about he didn't really know her, that for me is the least of the issues. I thought to myself, he's capping, maybe he wants to be a little bit, you know, da-da-da-da-da. That wasn't my biggest issue. I think what you just precisely nailed, Precious, is what I nailed in my analysis, which is that for me is one of the biggest errors you can make. If somebody out here as a man tries to punk you about your girl, you are going to have to defend it. There is no bull crap about I'm on a sports podcast. Nobody can punk me about my girl. You understand what I'm saying to you? You cannot come with that same way. I can't have Negroes laughing in the room because they know I'm capping at that point about my girl. Do you get what I'm saying to you, right? And man, them here are the same way. I know you if I start laughing about how ugly your girl is, you're going to shut me down, right? It don't matter because you just can't do that. As man, them, we know that. So when someone starts saying to you, making a point almost as if like you didn't even really want your girl, and your first response, and maybe again it's edited, quote unquote, we can say that maybe it's edited, the first thing you come up with is actually about, hey, that particular section is because I was afraid of being committed. I'm going to look at you some way. I think that's where people's anger should really be at. Forget him not knowing who she is. I don't care if she's higher power status or not. It makes no difference. What did you say about your partner? Yes, Jason, go for it.
What's up, people? What have I walked into? What is going on here? Wow.
What have you walked into indeed, Jason?
Wow. Usually I'm there from the beginning, but it's interesting to see. Wow. So everyone, I was out. I didn't even know this was happening. So until I saw Kojo's link, man. Wow. But you know what? I'm sure everyone said, all types of conversations taking it left and right. So I'll just keep my thoughts brief. The only issue that I had is exactly what some of the people are highlighting, is that he missed an opportunity to, just speak about his wife in a way that needs to be. Part of, protecting your union, protecting your marriage is how you speak about your relationship in public. It's not just about what goes on privately. And that was an opportunity, whether we like it or not, where he could have. Was this like the first interview, really, about him? I haven't really seen anything beforehand, but this was the first time to really speak about, how he feels about Simone, since, we always see them happy. Yeah, that's fine. But we haven't really delved into, everything about how they got together, etc. All we know, it just happened. And then a couple of years later, they got married. Now, as it pertains to how they met, that shouldn't be an issue. I mean, I don't understand why that's an issue. There was on an app, she swiped, okay, this is what happens. Who cares? She pursued him. Look, we can see what type of guy he looks like. I think what people are really not saying is that the type of guy he is, they are surprised that he picked someone like Simone. So is he sure that someone like Simone is truly what he wants? So this type of conversation is going to be even more triggering. People are not going to really tell the truth about that, but we can all read in between the lines. Because if he didn't look the way that he looked, I guarantee you some of the same people having a problem will be pointing to his looks as well, saying he isn't good enough, she can do better. This is where the hypocrisy and why I say extra fake outrage with some of this, with some of this, because there is something behind why people are outraged that they're not actually saying. However, what we can actually address is he completely missed an amazing time to uplift his wife, not even girlfriend, to uplift his wife in public. Yeah, in the moment she rolled her eyes, she's smiling, but and someone said that she's defending him. Since then, yeah, whatever. But that was a perfect time, to really make your wife actually understand publicly how does my man actually feel about me? When other guys are asking some of these funny questions, how does he deal with that? And he didn't deal with it well. I understand it was almost like a man-to-man conversation. I know Precious mentioned why she there. I mean, in a lot of podcasts, the spouses are behind the scenes anyway. They just put the camera on her face for us to know that she's there. And so sometimes we don't know what's being said. Sometimes we're reacting to things and the spouse is actually there. They actually know what's going on, but because we don't know, we're thinking that, oh no, how can you say that? But it is what it is. But that's just an opportunity, man. To me, I hope this is a lesson. I don't look at him as a bad guy, all of these things. I just say he missed a perfect opportunity to actually display. Now, moving forward, I hope this mentality is not something that's gonna, create a wedge between them or come out to play even more as the months and years go by. Because that's, whether it's like Jeffrey was saying, whether it's the woman or the man, this mentality is quite dangerous, to see yourself as the prize, but not the person that you're with. It's very, very dangerous. So if I knew him, I would say to him, bruh, what did you mean? And secondly, what is your your barometer? Like, what are you measuring it by? Is it just because you're a man? Is it just because you're a pretty boy? What is it? That's why I'll get into him, because I'll be that's the only bit I'm concerned about. Do not allow this 2023 mentality to creep into your marriage and make you treat Simone in a weird way. If that's not what you're doing, that's fine. But make sure you take every opportunity to lift her up and protect her and protect your marriage when people ask you funny questions. That's me.
Thank you for that, Jay. Sam, you want to go next? And I think you're the last person I've spoken. Then I'll give everybody a minute and keep it fast flowing. Go for it, Sam. Take your time, but after you, everyone else is going to be a minute long. Keep the conversation flowing. Go for it, my guy.
Yeah, like I've seen this. I've looked at both sides to this, and sometimes, like, when I look at these things, I don't really look at celebrity couples relationships. I don't really have time for that. But when I'm looking into this specific one, I was even trying to like question myself. Am I looking too much into it? of just a 2-minute video and stuff like that. But I do see both sides. However, one thing that, again, it did bother me slightly is that it's a little bit what Jason said, and it's a little bit what I think it was Precious that said it. Is that there was an opportunity to actually say something nice about your woman, and he didn't take the opportunity at all. So in that sense, it's kind of like he didn't say anything that was wrong, again, but it was more of like what you didn't say. And even I was looking at the presenter, and I do watch some of their podcasts quite a bit, and I was looking at this presenter's face and the way he was looking at him, thinking, "Oh, hold on, what are you trying to say? What are you trying to say?" Like you can see you can read the room of, like, the presenter was even looking at him saying, like, "What are you trying to say about like your whole relationship between both of you, the marriage, and how you started up?" What I will say to him is that, cool, in the light of the moment, you might sometimes when you're in that setting of a podcast and you're getting asked questions like that, you might even forget to say things. So that might even be a thing where we can take into consideration, because that's you got the cameras on you and you might even forget to say things. But again, the problem that I have is that when the presenter sarcastically went and said what he said, there was a prime opportunity for you to come and defend yourself and defend your woman, or say something nice about your woman. Now, I'm not gonna lie to you. When I was looking at what he was saying, it reminded me of some of the boys boys back home, where it was kind of like, you're just acting in front of the man then. You're really just acting in front of the man then, because it's kind of like in the back of your mind, you're just thinking to, oh no, you really do love her. You're whipped, but you're because you're acting in front of the man, then you're trying to keep it calm and steady and acting like, oh, she's the one that was really forcing it instead of me. Do you get what I'm saying? That's how I kind of saw it at first. Now, again, as I said, I'm not gonna chastise him. I'm not gonna like pull a whip and just do whatever. However, it's a thing where I said in the beginning, he might need to grow from this. Again, I think they were just married, so there's a lot of learning that he needs to do. Now, one more point, and this might be a point where Kojo might ask the panel: if he goes to another podcast and another interview and says near the exact same thing where he doesn't say anything about his woman, what will be the conversation then?
It will be the same, and I'll tell you why. Because she doesn't care. Because she's also in a sunken place, and she needs help too.
So, Kojo, 1 second. Did you watch the full interview?
I didn't watch the whole. I probably watched like 20 minutes or so.
So I would just recommend you watch the entire interview with a blank slate. I just behind the scenes watched the interview and the portions where they talked about their relationship. There was times she interjected, and we look at body language, we look at how people react, we look at his responses. She interjected at certain parts when they were telling their story about how they met, the app, and all of this stuff, and it was easy. Yep. The energy was easy. So this is what I'm saying. Like, and if we're really gonna break it down, like I need to see a little bit more. And right now, at this point, I don't see that he was downplaying her. He asked her. There was a time when he said, because and mind you, it's the hosts that are asking him the questions. And Absolutely. You see him like, hey. At some point, he was like, so are you the catch? I'm asked, are you the catch? And he was like, well, I think that men are the catch. But what I'm saying is, right? So he went to explain, and he said, he was like, so you're telling me you don't know who Simone Biles was? And then he asked her, he was like, no, I never really got into that. The only thing I asked her was, who's your competition? Who do you compete with? And she said, I compete with myself. So he was like, oh, when I heard that, like they were connecting on different levels. I don't see, the downplaying part. I'm not seeing it yet. I just see him having dialogue. Could he have chosen better words? Oh, 100%. You know, could he have been more referential in how he talked about her? Of course. But I don't see enough to say like, oh, he doesn't feel her that way and he's not attracted to her, or he thinks she's, you know, he thinks he's better than her.
Sean, just quickly, because I know you talked about body language, but my question is, why did Simone have to interject? Because there was a point in the thing where she kind of said, "Oh, but you actually like me as well." And the thing about it is that this is why I was getting a little bit confused. If I'm talking to somebody about like how I met, and let's just say I met off the dating app, if I'm going to be truthful, if a girl likes me first, I'm also going to say in that same sentence, I always also swiped her back. He didn't say that at all. He just said, "Oh,
yeah." I think this happens in couples all the time. That, you know, people have different views of how this story ends. Even you used my ex-wife before. We can sit and debate who liked who more, and I would tease her all the time. And I would be like, "Yeah, you kissed me first," and she'd be like, "No, I didn't." That's normal. And I did it on the day of our wedding in front of everybody that was there. So people have these kind of like, you know, banter and conversations, or even differing views on how the relationship really started. So I don't think that's a big deal that she had to interject.
Okay, so let me just clarify this appropriately, right? So he did in the original story. That's as I watched about 20 minutes of it when it came to the actual relationship, and I actually watched the part where she interjected. I actually broke it down in the very first video I actually did. It's actually live, so I actually broke the whole thing down. I did about a good 20 years, you know, and that's probably why I got copyrighted. But you know, and still up there, so you can watch it. I can't get monetized. But that situation, I would hear what you're saying, Sean, about him saying about we have disagreement about who swiped who. But the reality of the situation is, I think the reason why Simone interjected on that point is because there was bullshit that was being said before that point. See, when the whole conversation has to be taken into context. It's not just that moment. It was what was said up until that point. And to that point, he was saying stuff that was actually devaluing her. And that's why I said about it's not necessarily him saying you're ugly or you're unattractive that we have to look at. We have to look at what's being said and what's not being said. There is not a chance that you would ever get me unless I'm trying to, maybe I'm being petty and me and my wife are fighting, right? Since you're talking about body language. It didn't look like they were fighting, right? It didn't look like those two were having a fight. So if I'm being petty and whatever, someone might ask me a question, I might be like, you know what, I ain't gonna try to say nothing nice about my wife today because I'm vexed at her, right? You might say something like petty, right? But they were in a good mood, it seemed like they were in a good place. So it was nothing to do with that. You can't forget to say something nice about your wife. I'm so sorry. There's no such thing. We know there's no such thing. You know yourselves as men. And I feel like we're trying to give this guy so much grace. And I understand that as men, we have to give each other grace. But this is not one of those moments. This ain't one of those moments. You have a clear-cut question. And I feel like his insecurity started playing up. And it started tingling like spider sense. And he started answering questions in a mad way. Right? Now, I'm going to take into account, I'm going to say this. I totally understand what you're saying. I think some of the audience's anger is in the wrong direction. It's more about, and the reason why I know that is because of what they are actually saying. A lot of the conversation I'm hearing from the audience is, well, we don't even know him. What's that got to do with anything if you know him or not? That's not what we need to be. We don't need to be angry because we don't know him. You know what I mean? Then I know that you're not focusing on what he actually said. You're now creating anger, but it's not really on the right thing. Where we should be angry and frustrated at, and where we should look some caution about, and if I'm a brother to him, I would take Jason, I would take Jeff, I would take Sean, I would take Sam, and let's go and talk to our boy and JR because he's tripping. Okay? The moment that he should have been actually defending his wife when it asked you, so what? Is it that you don't want your wife? Is it that you don't like your wife? And you don't take the opportunity to correct a brother. I don't care what you say, you ain't forgotten. In that moment, you know exactly why you didn't answer that question in the way it should have been answered. He just told you don't like your wife, and you're telling me, well, hey, I had commitment issues. You know what I mean? I had commitment issues. And it's like, why is that your focus? Your focus is about trying to prove, and I think this is what Queen E was saying as well. Why is your focus about trying to prove that you're not the person who trying to prove that you're the prize and that you've been the one that's been chosen? And that tells me there's insecurity there, because if you've chosen that moment to try and prove to me that you're not that you're the prize, it tells me there's probably some insecurity there. You're trying to make up for a situation, and that tells me that that's probably going to be a behavior that's going to sit in that relationship. because that ain't going away, right? That ain't going nowhere. That's going to continue playing, right? Because she's going to continue doing what she's doing, right? She's going to continue doing what she's doing. She's going to continue growing, right? So your insecurity, if you don't sort out you, it's going to expand. So I'm saying that there is where I totally understand that we're trying to maybe disregard some of the audience takes, and I actually do agree with the boys in that respect, in that some aspect, some of the anger from the audience. I'm not with it, but I'm saying that we have still yet to establish how someone doesn't know how to compliment their wife without it becoming mushy-gushy. We're yet to understand how he couldn't say anything nice about her, and yet, Sean, you're talking to me, 54 minutes, and I still... in the 20 minutes I watched, I haven't heard anybody say, sorry, in the last 2.5 hours I haven't heard anybody say, listen, I went to watch it and I saw him say something nice, apart from the fact that he says, she helped me in my career. And if anything, if someone can only talk about how nice you help them with their career, you might want to look at it. Yeah, if I ask Jace right now, Jace, I don't think your girl don't like you like that. Or if I say to you, Jace, I don't think you like your girl like that, really and truly. If I say something like that where it's going to be disparaging towards his partner, I can guarantee you Jace would put me correct. I can guarantee if I ask Jace, what do you actually like about your partner? He's going to tell me some nice things about his partner. If I tell Jace, how did you meet your partner? In fact, he's told a story before on his platform. He's going to say some nice things about how he met his partner, right? Because that is how he feels about her. Why are we trying to pretend as if we don't know how he really feels about her? He's telling you how he feels about her. He's told you. He had 2 minutes to say something and he didn't say anything. No one piece of evidence that he liked this girl. So, but I'm gonna keep it to, everybody keep it to 1 minute. So I'm gonna drop down quick because Maury's in the back, so I wanna bring her on. But everyone keep it to 1 minute. If you're gonna jump on 1 minute, I'll still guide it. I'll just type in the chat. So keep your eyes available as well. All right, Sean, I saw you might go. You go, it's a minute, keep it rolling. Next person on, I'll type, go for it. Go for it, Sean, then Maury.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, no, I think that all those things are valid points. But I just want to continue to add the caveat of this is how we think relationships should manage. And this is how we think that he should be expressing his relationship with Simone. And again, I don't feel others on the opposite side feel like they have seen enough to feel like he's downplaying her. I don't feel that way. I haven't seen it. I don't agree. And I haven't seen anything that he's done. And what I also do is when I look at somebody, I don't always just say, oh, and base my sole opinion on this is what I would do, because everybody operates their relationship differently, right? But I do want to see, are those two people in sync with each other? Are they on the same page? Is there mutuality? And that is what I see so far up to this point. Maury, you're up.
Oh, hi guys. Can you hear me?
Yes, we hear you.
So I haven't watched the whole interview, so I may have like a lot of bias on what I'm gonna say, and I may repeat some things that have been said before. But I just feel like he's like many people said, he's not attracted to her. Like there's this saying that says men are moved by what they see and women are moved by what they hear. And for a man, I would expect somebody to describe his wife as, oh my gosh, sorry. Look at my wife, is she not beautiful? Not at one point did he mention the qualities he saw or the qualities he liked about her. Nothing about her beauty, nothing about how she dresses, the way she walks, she talks. I just don't think he's attracted to her. I think he saw her as a business opportunity or as somebody that he could, marry and maybe boost his career, or maybe partnerships or deals that he could get associated with being with Simone. Like he said multiple times at one point, there was a part where he kept saying he wasn't ready, he was in his 3rd year. But I thought that when men know what they want and, they know, okay, this is the person I want to be with, they're not thinking about that. They're not second guessing. And there was a hesitation. That hesitation to me was indicative to him that he should have slowed down, you know, take a step back. But no, what does he do? The moment he said that he realized this is his wife was when people were turning around and Simone was getting a lot of attention. How is that the moment you realize that a woman is supposed to be your wife? Should it not be something like, oh, she's done this for me, or she saved me from this you know, bad situation? That's not a moment to know that's your wife because people are turning around to see her or shake her hand. So I think he's not really attracted to her in that way. Maybe he does respect her as another sports person, which is probably why he's not saying or commenting on her looks or her being beautiful and things like that. But if you are being honest, or if we're all being honest, when you're in a marriage with somebody, it's your other half, it's your biggest cheerleader, you're not going to forget to compliment them, whether it's beauty, whether it's you respect their grind, whatever it is. You're not going to forget that if you're being genuine. I just think you don't forget things that are true. And the reason why he never mentioned her beauty, never mentioned anything like that, or bigged her up, or said the qualities he liked about that, was because he was being disingenuous.
Right. I believe I'm next. I'm just gonna keep it very short. Again, from back to the point I was saying, I just think this is just a growing opportunity for the guy. I don't want to look too much into this, but there were red flags that I was seeing. Like, for me, I don't find it believable that a man who really loves his woman won't say at least one thing positive about her, in the sense of like where they met, or just in the marriage at all. I just feel like he just missed the mark with actually just saying something that is nice, because once you start with, I wasn't sure if I wanted to settle down in at the beginning, you set the precedent, and already the tone of the conversation was going to a point where, as you're saying that he's the prize, and so on. So I just think that next time, or more to the future, he just needs to look at himself, just needs to look at why he loves Simone Biles, because I do believe he loves Simone Biles. And maybe in another interview, then he can actually just say, do you know what? This is what I love about her, and stuff like that, if the question is posed to him.
Okay, I think I'm next. I think that a lot of us are looking at this from a perspective of emotional intelligence. You know, he should have done this, he should have done that, from a typical situation, and from somebody who has that emotional intelligence, assuming that he has it because he is married. A lot of people don't have emotional intelligence, especially a lot of young people. Aside from my kind of jokey thing that I was saying in the beginning about um you know, him being light skinned and having that mentality, right? It doesn't appear that he has that emotional intelligence to be able to have that conversation of, this is how we met. However, this is, you know, I love Simone. She's beautiful, and all the other qualities that he obviously sees within her, because for him to marry her, there's obviously qualities within her that he values or that he loves. However, he's probably unable to express himself or express how he feels adequately. There's also a level of insecurity within himself, which is apparent. And you attract what you have. And I believe that Simone also has a level of insecurity as well. So they are validating each other by being together at the same time. Does it mean that they don't love each other? Absolutely not. I genuinely believe that they love each other. However, you know, we are all on a journey, all growing, all healing, right? So I feel like being with him validates her, and him being with her validates him and his insecurities. Hopefully with age, with whatever, he will grow and he will learn to be able to protect his wife. He will learn to be able to put her on a pedestal. He will learn to have the emotional intelligence to express himself. However, I do have to leave it on a caveat and say, we see a lot of times disparities in relationships when it comes to society's standards of physical appearances. This is not an exception, right? And I think a lot of people are seeing the way that he looks. And Simone is a gorgeous girl, but he is a pretty boy. And I feel like a lot of people are trying to put him down a peg because of how he looks. We see a lot of times people who look a certain way and people think, oh, how did he get her, or how did she get him? It happens all the times. We don't know what's happening behind closed doors. It's not all about physicality. Unfortunately, he wasn't able to quantify that and explain that in terms of like their relationship and so forth. But this won't be the first, this won't be the last. Okay, guys, I'm gonna go off to bed now. It's way past my bedtime. Bye, everybody.
My first point is my last point. It's unfortunate that he took the bait. It was very clear, in my opinion, it was very clear that this was a way for the host to kind of find a viral moment, or, you know, to have locker room talk in a situation that I felt like wasn't a locker room conversation, especially because Simone was in the room, and two, it is going onto a public platform. So that's the unfortunate part for me. Because it did seem like he wanted to harp on the importance of him being the one pursued, it leads people to think, maybe there's an insecurity. And as humans do, we want to deduce how, why did we get there? And so you do have to look at attractiveness, status, whatever, economics, whatever, all that stuff. As humans, we do that. And so I don't think it's about who's prettier than who's whatever than whatever. Me personally, I would hope that in all spaces, as much as possible, my spouse is going to take pride in protecting me. And I saw somebody in the comments say like, oh, nobody was attacking her. That's not what protection means in a marriage. It's not about, oh, somebody is attacking my spouse, I need to come to their defense. It's how can I make sure that our bubble stays intact no matter what scenario we're in. I would hope to look for that in my partner. And also to the other people who are saying, oh, but they're young, they're whatever. I'm in the same age bracket as them. And I'm looking for that in my spouse. I would want that in my spouse. So that's my 2 cents.
Thank you, Queenie. I appreciate you. Thank you for coming through. I appreciate you, honestly. All righty. Who's next, guys? Who wants to go next? Okay, Jeff is going. Thank you, Jeff.
Me, I'll go.
Jeff and JR.
I'll just simply say, yes, it's true that none of us really know the full dynamics of what's going on in the relationship. We can only go by what we have seen. And I think it's just basically, yes, you could have had I think this guy could have had a bad moment, been caught unawares. But I think it's the fact that he was caught unawares, his lack of self-awareness is also an issue, because I believe that as men, we are always called to emotionally protect our wives, no matter what setting we're in. It could be a sports talk podcast, relationship podcast, whatever podcast. There is always going to be a need for us to emotionally protect. Even if you're telling your truth about how you met, there is a way, and I guess a decorum in which you speak about somebody. And I think the fact that there are things that he didn't say in his body language and his tone and his mannerisms towards that, trying to big himself up whilst at the same time your wife is watching, and the fact that she had to interject, that could potentially, to some people, will read, oh, she's now having to protect her own image, which was something that the husband, was supposed to do. Now, again, I could be reaching, it could be, oh, I'm just with my boys. But even if I was with my boys, there is basically a way in which I would speak about the person that I love. And if any person was to disrespect the person I care about, I will have to have words with them. I'm not going to be like doing the most, but like, yo, be like, chill, that guy's not, I'm not with that. Just something simple to get the point across. So I think it just comes down to that. And we're reading into the fact that if someone is highly attractive, and is aware of that, there could be a level of ego towards that potentially could mess up the relationship, which is why I don't believe in man or woman having a mindset of thinking I'm the prize and putting themselves up on pedestals, which could potentially now cause a breakdown in the marriage. That's all I want to say.
Appreciate that. JR.
Yeah, I do take on board everybody's points, and I can see all the angles that everyone's coming from. And I think with Jonathan, this is a guy who is probably quite sought after, not just based on his looks, but he's probably been a high school athlete and had girls to choose from throughout most of his sports aspirations. So I think that has carried on into his adulthood to a degree, and that's why he makes the statement like he's the prize, because he's been sought after, right? He may have like a male pretty privilege. I think the thing that's got everybody talking about it is him downplaying her publicly to a degree, in the way that he didn't elevate her. So I can definitely see that point. But he's a footballer. Like he's an American footballer. NFL is the most popular sport over there, other than baseball. So, he feels like he is the prize because he's an athlete. He's a jock, right? With their relationship, though, I think we're only seeing a snippet of, from the clips we've seen of what he's spoken about. And maybe when she gives an interview, she'll elaborate more on certain things and kind of, join the dots. But at the end of the day, they seem like a happy couple. And there aren't enough young couples getting to that marriage stage and feeling, enamored with their partner. We don't see that enough. And so I have high hopes for them. And where I agree with Sean is that, at the end of the day, he is, he's not actually saying anything offensive or disrespectful, but at the same time, he thinks a lot of himself. And that is a bone of contention for a lot of people, to think highly of yourself as a man and not elevate your lady. She is far more accomplished than him. There's no doubt about it. Like, he's very much in the infancy of his career. So I don't think he's competing with her. I don't think it's a bad thing to genuinely like her for who she is without knowing what she's accomplished, because that ultimately means that the relationship is genuine. So yeah, I don't see any ulterior motive, but I can definitely see the angles where everyone's coming from.
Yeah, so I'll say this because, like JR, I've listened to everybody, and this is kind of my final conclusions, right? First things first, like I believe most of us, if not all of us, feel on this panel, we wish them the best. We hope that they have a long-lasting marriage and that they can survive this social media storm that is not just limited to the Black community. But I'm on TikTok and I see more white people talking about this than any other race. So this has caught on and is caught on fire. And I pray for both of them, because relationships are hard enough without everybody else's opinions involved. And I hope they both learn from this and maybe decide what they want to share or what they don't want to share in the future, because the more you open up your relationship and speak on things to the public, the more demons and spirits and comments that you allow in. And that's just really, really hard. So let me start there. But with that being said, what I will say is what I've said before when I started this, and I'll say it now. What I saw from the snippet that I saw was concerning. And I think it's concerning from both sides. What I believe happened, and I agree with so many things that were said. He's a nice looking guy. He's a football player. He's been sought after. And from my opinion, he's probably sick and tired of people constantly treating him like he's the bottom of somebody's shoe. I'm sure everywhere they go, they're only trying to take pictures of Simone. I'm pretty sure he's casted to a side a lot. And for a man that should be in his own right a powerful man, that probably is annoying. It's a hit to your ego. It's agitating. And when he's on a podcast talking about him, I'm sure the last thing he wanted was to be reminded again that he's nothing compared to Simone. And I'm not saying he doesn't have a right to feel away. But when he married Simone, he's going to have to figure out a way to balance that without looking like he's going to put her down. Because what he's going to get in at the end is a lot of smoke and heat on his relationship. I don't think he should feel great about people always making him feel less than compared to Simone, right? Because he's still a human. And just because she's a gymnast and the greatest gymnast to ever live doesn't mean he should feel less than. But in reality, he has to understand that that's going to come with the territory of who he married. So he's going to have to deal with it differently. I will also say for the women, when you chase a man or you go after a man, like I believe Simone did, or when you flex whatever powers you have to get a man that would be attractive to most people, sometimes they're going to be humble, they're going to be wonderful, they're going to love you forever and ever and never remind you that you went after them. But sometimes you're going to get this. And with this dynamic, I would say that this dynamic usually does not end well when the man thinks that he's the bigger prize than the woman. Honestly, you shouldn't have that in a relationship at all, right? We can agree to that. But when you have this dynamic, it's a dangerous dynamic. So I just hope, I pray for Simone and for Jonathan, right? We're going to start using his name. And I hope that they make it through. But what I'm seeing so far is a little problematic. And I hope they figure it out.
Thank you. The Juice, welcome to the conversation. You wanted to have your say? Go for it.
I disagree with the previous point. I don't think he was trying to be malicious. I think he said some of it in jest. But I've seen interviews where she was doing an interview and she's talking about how she met him, and she kind of said the same thing. Like, she messaged him and she kind of like approached him first and stuff like that. I don't think he's bringing up to be malicious. I think he's just telling the truth. Like, she approached him first, so he's going to tell the story. I do think it's very harsh that we're taking. I watched the full interview because I like the Pivot podcast. We're taking the clips, like 3 minutes, and that's just encompassing their whole marriage. It's 3 minutes now. Like, he's a terrible. He's this. He's that. I'm reading all into. No, like, that actually might be the story that she pursued him, and he's just telling the story how it is. So I understand that people are saying like, oh, he should have, but genuinely, and also the thing about him saying he didn't know who she was. It may be unrealistic, but then again, like, I was discussing this with a friend of mine. I'm like, most people can't name 5 gymnasts. Gymnastics is not a very popular sport. Let's be real. Like, this is not. She's probably not in the top 100 athletes on earth. Like, do you know what I'm saying? Unless you're into gymnastics and you watch the Olympics, you're not gonna know who she is. This is not Cristiano Ronaldo or LeBron James. Like, it's not a very popular sport. So that can be kind of believable. Like, unless you're actually watching that, you may recognize her face, but you may not know exactly who she is. You'd be like, oh, that's that person. You're not going to know exactly who she is. Like, as I said, most people can't name 5 gymnasts. I can't. I know her and the other black girl, Gabby Douglas. That's it. I couldn't name you no one else ever. But yeah, I don't think he was trying to be malicious, and I think it's very harsh to put all of that on him in this amount of time. I think he answered the questions quite honestly when he talked about not wanting to commit and stuff in the beginning. I don't think that's a red flag. I think that's being brutally honest as a man. You're an athlete. You're 20. When they met, you would have been about 25 or whatever. You were in your athletic prime. That is gonna go through your mind. I don't think most men at that age, athletes, millionaires, are thinking, I can't wait to meet someone and commit. Let's just be real. Like, I can't wait to just settle down and commit. No, he probably dated, I like you, and then eventually he caught feelings. I think that's the same for most men. I don't think most men go into relationships immediately thinking I'm gonna marry this woman and catch feelings. It's a gradual process over time. And I think he's just being brutally honest. I think people are taking that like, and it's almost like a kind of, they want a film narrative that he's gonna say he met her, and the moment I saw her, I knew she was gonna be the one, and we were gonna be together forever. No, he's just being brutally honest, and then eventually he met her, and then he fell in love. I think that's real. I think he's being 100% real, and I think people are taking it a bit too far. Like people are saying, I see on Twitter everyone's just going mad, and yeah, I hope they can. Again, I hope they're the best and they can make it through the storm, because this is ridiculous, man. And I can see. This is just ridiculous, the reaction to them. I hope they can make it. They need to just mute their social media and then just move on, man.
Kojo, if
So
I
before
may,
you go, Juice, you wanted to address this point?
I just want.
I'll let you address this point. Yeah, so you
Only
can respond
reason,
to it.
only reason is that I hate when I really dislike when people make a point off the back of someone else's point, saying something that they didn't say. At no point did I say that he did something to be malicious or he was trying to be malicious. You have a right to your opinion, and that's fine. But I never said that, right? I said what he said has consequences. And sometimes as a Sagittarius, I know this all too well. Me being brutally honest has consequences. It has effects, and people have feelings. We don't know what her feelings are, but other people have a right to respond to you getting on a platform and being brutally honest. That's what happens when you get on this internet. When you get on the internet and you speak on these podcasts, which most people should stop doing because you're opening up people's opinions into your relationship, right? And so when you do that, people are going to have opinions. But I never once said that he was doing something to be malicious. I don't know if they said that on Twitter, but that's not what I said. So I just want to clear that up.
You can respond,
I never said that. You said that in particular. I'm just saying in general. I don't think he's being. People are taking as he's being malicious. I'm not saying that you said that, but in general, people are taking it as he was trying to slight his wife, like he was trying to put her down. I don't think he meant it like that. I think he was just being brutally honest in that term, and it came up over the way. And I think he was talking in jest as well. I don't think he was trying to do what people are saying. I'm not saying you said that in particular.
That's fair. I hear that. And I get what you're saying, Juice, as well. So let me ask you a question. I'll ask all the guys as well, Juice. Can you tell me one thing that he said that was nice about his wife?
The silence.
I'm trying to think because I watched further in the clip. I think he talked about something about he liked her, something like he liked her personality or something like that. But the story was about how they first met. It wasn't about what you like about her. So he just told that was the story. He's like, how did you first meet? It wasn't what did you like about your wife? Did you like her beauty? But I think he expanded on what he liked about her and how they eventually got married further on in the interview.
So in 2 minutes or 3 minutes, you said I think, did you say, actually, wait, I don't know. Did you say you watched the whole interview? Because I know you said you watched interviews. So you watched the whole interview. Yeah. So you have 54 minutes. He talks about his wife for at least 3 minutes in the first, between 9 minutes and between 9 minutes and between 9 minutes and 14, which is actually 5 minutes of conversation about his wife. He then begins to speak about his wife again at 32 minutes for a further 2 to 3 minutes again. That's a total of 8 minutes. In 8 minutes, he couldn't say one nice thing about his wife that you can recall.
That's a loaded question. He doesn't say anything bad about his wife either. He doesn't say anything. He didn't say nothing bad about. He didn't say that I didn't like this, I didn't like that. He just says how they met. He didn't say anything negative. So that's like a loaded question, isn't it?
Okay. I wish he was here earlier because we could have really broken it all the way down for you, Juice. But yeah, sorry. Wait.
Can I just quickly ask to Juice?
Yes, Sam.
When the presenter said what he said, why didn't John shut it down?
I don't think that's. I know earlier on people said to do with emotional intelligence. No, that's maybe to do with like not having the level of media training other people have. You often see, just in a deeper thing, like sometimes people can lead people with questions, and some people have the intelligence to get out of it. It's a bit like, I know this is completely off topic. The Americans don't know what I'm talking about. Piers Morgan is a brilliant at trying to lead people down paths. Not everyone can get out of it. Do you know what I'm saying? Some people can lead you down a path with their questioning, and some people can't see it. So he may not have that level of intellect to whatever. I'm not saying he's stupid, but some people don't have that level of intellect. So he's just speaking like it's him and his friend, isn't it? He's not clicked into This is an interview. I need to know what I'm doing, and he's trying to lead me.
Juice, I hear what you're saying, but I'm so sorry. It doesn't take any level of intellect to actually say, no, I didn't mean that, or no, this is not what I'm trying to say, or this, that. There's no level of media training or intellect for you to even say that. My whole problem is that you didn't even say anything to shut it down. That doesn't come into intellect or media training. That's just now defending what you were trying to say, or even doubling down on what you were trying to say, or something like that. Do you get what I'm saying? So the whole problem is like, all right, cool. If he said his story, fair enough. Let's leave that to the side. When the presenter sarcastically said what he said, why did he not say anything about that?
Oh, what the comment about? What did he say? So what you saying? You didn't like?
Kojo, help me out.
He said something about like, you know, so basically he rounded up his point by saying, oh,
yeah, exactly,
so you're saying that you didn't like Simone Biles, you don't like Simone Biles, basically, in a sense. And he didn't actually answer the question in that particular way. He didn't actually answer the question. He started talking about how he felt like that he couldn't commit, in a sense.
Right. Just to be clear, because he said, no, it's not that. What was happening is I wasn't ready to commit at that time because I had a lot of things going on. So he stopped and addressed what was the issue for him in their relationship. It wasn't about him not wanting her. He might not have said the words the way we would want to hear it. He said, no, what I wasn't ready for was ready for the relationship then. I wasn't ready to commit.
When someone makes a huge statement like that, Sean, you don't drop no and no, I had commitment issues. When someone summarizes that you don't like your wife, you don't summarize by saying no, I have commitment issues. You summarize by first letting the person know, no, that is not it. I do love my wife. You correct that person, because they've summarized you in a completely heinous way. That's why the guy was given. That's why I tell you, the guy was given a leg up. He was giving them the leg up by summarizing it in that way, so that you can actually change the whole narrative. Change it for us, you know what I mean? Because the brother can see, as men, we can see when our brothers kind of go down the wrong path. That's why they're laughing at him like, brother, come on, bring this back in. And then when they asking that question...
Yeah, I think we're, pun intended, Monday morning quarterbacking, and we're having a view of what has played out now. And then we're saying, oh, this is what he should have did, so we wouldn't be here talking about it now. And I just don't think that always happens in real time. He corrected. He didn't let the narrative stand. He spoke clearly and said, hey, listen, it wasn't that. It was the fact that I wasn't ready to commit. It's not about she wanted me or like I didn't want her. It was I wasn't ready to commit to her at that time. So he did clarify, but he's just not saying what you guys want him to say and make definitive for you to feel secure. He said what was true of him in that moment. And yeah, could he have chosen better words? But he still did defend. So
is that again? Wait, hold on. Let me pause.
Yeah,
why do you keep making it about how we need to be secure?
Your
whole point is today, Sean,
has
been about us and us projecting.
No.
I need you to park that, because you're deflecting. The situation is he's not addressing the appropriate question appropriately. So he's left it open for us to now summarize a particular point that is not preferential to how he feels about his girl. You don't need media training. You don't need your dad telling you. You don't need Jason telling you. You don't need me telling you. You don't need Mr. VIP telling you that when you handle a question that's talking about your missus, there's a way that you answer a question in a particular way that doesn't leave it open to interpretation. It's that simple. But every time we talk about it, you keep saying how you guys want it. And it's like, why is it about you? We have a different point of view.
Kojo, it is about you, because anyone that's saying it, you're saying how you would want him to say it, how you need him to hear it in order to.
Do I not say that on every single video I do, Sean?
Okay.
Is that not how I address every single situation? So why are you now using that point only in this argument? That's what I'm trying to say. It's disingenuous, that argument.
It's not disingenuous. I'm telling you.
You ain't got a real argument.
Yeah, no, but I'm telling you from my perspective, right? Like, I think he addressed it. You said he never addressed it. He did. And that's almost driving the narrative like he just let it fly. He did not. He actually said, no, I just wasn't ready. I wasn't ready to settle down at that time because I had a lot of things going on. You wanted him to say, I loved her, she's beautiful, or whatever words you wanted to hear. That's what you wanted him to hear in order
That's not
to
what I said.
understand it. And he didn't.
And the you is strong.
I would just
Well,
say,
you are strong too, because you giving your opinion.
And you, Shorty.
What we do is validate my opinion. I'm not going to be invalidated because you disagree. No,
Sean,
I
that's not, I don't
agree.
think that's what he was trying to say. What we're trying to say is that he didn't answer the question directly. It was an easy, direct question. Of course, I love my wife. Look at my wife. It was even an opportunity for him to pick up his wife. But instead, he gave a reason why he didn't, something about commitment issues. Like, you need to see the way this guy talks about himself and the way he bigs up himself. This guy is in love with himself, if he can big up himself like that, why can you not do that for your other half, the woman that you've now married? It makes no sense. And I think you're giving him a little bit too much leeway. Like, the guy is in love with himself. He has a big ego and he's not a small boy. Like, come on now. Like, come on. He did not address the question. He did not answer it. It was a simple opportunity for him to save himself. They were giving him multiple opportunities. Guys are laughing at your girl and you're keeping silent. What? You're not even telling them why are you laughing? Why are you laughing at my wife? You need to put this car. No, don't get me. Let me shut up.
And actually, do you know what Juice was talking about media training? That was prime media training there, because he deflected from the actual question that I had.
For real, for real. It's like, it's not about media training. Are you telling me this is the only podcast that he's done? Are you telling me this is the only interview that he's done? Come on, look at the perfect English he speaks about himself. Relax.
Be for real. Be so for real.
Can I respond?
Wait, who's responding? Who was responding? Wait, so who was responding?
Me.
I think
Who said he wanted to respond?
Yeah.
Oh, the juice. Okay, before you do the juice, let me just play the clip again so that we clarify, because we said we didn't hear what he said. So you know what I mean? For a few seconds I can play it.
I was gonna say he didn't say no. He didn't
say no. I just listened to it.
He said at the time, and then he stopped himself, and then he said, "I'm not gonna say that," and then he moved on. If that makes sense.
Let's hear it out. What he said.
That's what you're not gonna say that. That's what you're saying. I was afraid. I was afraid to commit. I'm like, man, this is my third. So in truth, if I say this out loud, was Jonathan Owens ain't really want Simone Biles, is what you're saying. At the time, that's what you're not gonna say that. That's what you're saying. I was afraid. I was afraid to commit. I'm like, man, this is my third.
I knew Sean was adding 2 on 10 when he gave his rendition, because Sean's been giving 2 on 10 the whole entire day.
Because I was thinking,
he was giving 2 on 10 all day. He was spicing it, making it sound nicer than it actually is.
Loafers in the live.
Anyway, come on.
Sean, I want you to. Sean, what did he say? Did he say no? Did he answer the question, Your Honor?
No, he said, I'm not gonna say that.
No, he didn't. Sean, let me play it again.
He said, I'm not gonna say that.
Okay.
Yeah, he did. He said, "I'm not going to say that," but that's not an answer. That's basically you agreeing, but you just don't want to phrase it that way. You're saying, "Yeah, that's what I'm saying," but I'm not trying to say it that way. So
For real.
No.
If someone was to ask me that question, it's a direct. Of course, I love my man. Have you seen my man? Come on. What? Come on.
Don't, you can't defend this.
He didn't even have to say all of that. He could have just said, "No, I did want her, but I'm also struggling with commitment because I had so much going on."
He was over explaining too. I think it was
to be like romantic about it. It's just simple. No, of course I did want her, but at the time I was also thinking about my career. Didn't really know if I wanted to try and be in a full-time relationship, but I got to know her. We clicked. It worked, and here we are. Done.
I'm sorry, this was prime deflecting. Prime deflecting from the statement. Prime deflecting.
Sam then Juice. Go for it, Sam.
Yeah, I was gonna say, like, I was watching it again, and I was like, he said, "I'm not trying to say it like that," or something along the lines. And when you say that, it's like, hold on, what are you trying to say? You wanted to say something along the lines like that? But you wanna like candy floss it or something? Because what I just saw, what I heard from him was basically, deflect from the actual statement and try to bring it back to what he was originally talking about, which that's the point he really tried to bring along, that it was her that was the one that was chasing this relationship, not him. So what are you trying to imply then? Do you get what I'm saying? But I'm done.
Imagine you say, wait, before Juice goes, imagine someone says to you, your girl's ugly, and you're like, well, I'm not trying to say that, you know. What I would say is I was having commitment issues. Can you imagine the madness? It's if you answer the question, honestly, you're telling me, but but I'm not trying to say that. So what are you trying to say? Because someone tells me my girl ugly, I'm gonna tell you, you're mad. My girl is a buffer thing since sliced bread. Then I'm gonna answer wanting to answer. You know what I'm saying to you? So when people are saying that he got set up, I'm like, how'd you get set up? Because the truth is the truth. If my girl is not clapped to me, as soon as you say that, I'm going to be like, no, my girl's not clapped, and you know that she's not clapped. I see what you're trying to do or whatever, right? And then I'm going to answer what I need to answer after that. But he said he didn't do that. He said, you know, that I wouldn't say all that, you know, like it's almost like what you said is true, but like she said, I wouldn't put it that way, which means it's true what he said, yeah? So, but anyway, Juice, go for it. You want to say something, go for it.
Yeah, again, like, you can't put the way you would answer onto him in the terms that he may not have the vocab to describe it like that. Do you understand what I'm saying? Like, you can't say. I'll give you an example. When he was talking in the interview, I'm not saying he's stupid, but he doesn't sound like someone that's the most he's like an intellectual savant. Do you understand what I'm saying? So using that, he's not going to describe it like that. I watch you do interviews, and you talk calmly to people. They relax, and then they start saying different things. It's the same with the way he's talking to them. That's how I think. That's what I say they're not necessarily setting him up like that, but they're football players. They're talking about football. They're talking calmly and nice to him. His guard may be down. That's what I'm saying in terms of media training. In that, if it was, I guarantee, if it was like after an American football game and it was like white reporters holding a mic and the camera, he's going to answer that question completely differently. He may even blanket answer a certain way, but he's comfortable now, and now he's just talking. That's what I mean by media training.
You're making it worse. You're making
no. I know. I mean, let him go. Let him go. Let him go. Let him go.
Let him dig his own
Let him dig the grave. Let him dig the grave. Dig the grave, Juice. Dig the grave. Continue, Juice. Continue.
It's not about digging grave. It's about him being, as I said, brutally honest, and we're not comfortable with that. And someone said, "Oh, you're trying to say, what you're trying to say? It was her pursuing the relationship. Maybe it was her pursuing the relationship. What's wrong with that? If it was the other way around, this wouldn't even be a discussion right now. Maybe it was. He's just telling the truth. I don't understand why people are saying, "Oh no."
I'm gonna kill you with my point.
Go on.
To me, it takes him basically having to be interviewed by white journalists. He's in a comfortable situation right now to actually tell the people how he actually feels about the significant other, and he still stutters and then literally just says, "I have commitment issues." Really? Really?
No. This is what I'm saying. When you're comfortable, you're more likely to say the truth or how you really feel. If he wasn't comfortable, let me land. If he wasn't comfortable, he would have probably did what Pojo said and immediately said, "No, it's not like," and he would have moved past the question. I said earlier, he's being brutally honest, and people are uncomfortable with him being brutally honest. What he said is true.
Juice, you're really getting it bad. So you're saying he's really comfortable enough that he cannot back himself comfortable. Would it not be natural for you to truth about how you really feel about your girl? You can be vulnerable. She's beautiful. She's nice. She's, sweetheart. She's done this for me. She's done that for me.
That's not the question. Where are you getting this from? He didn't ask, "Is your girl? What do you like about her?" They said,
but he doesn't have to ask, though. He's comfortable. You don't have to ask. You don't need to ask
that wasn't the question. Why would I suddenly start? If you ask me, how did we meet? Oh, we went out here. We started speaking. This happened. That happened. Not, you know what? She's so beautiful. That's not the question.
But Juice, did they not say? Juice, did they not ask him? Did they not say? Is it fair to say that you did not like your girl? Was that not opportunity? Yes or no?
Yeah, but what did he say? No, I wouldn't say that.
But
He didn't say
no.
no.
He said he was comfortable.
He said no, I wouldn't say that, and then he
He
went
didn't say
on this
no.
stuff
He
about.
said, I wouldn't say that. That's that.
All right, I
that's-
wouldn't say. He said
Make
I
that
wouldn't say
clear.
that. He said I wouldn't say that,
Yes.
and then he started talking about something else.
And what does that mean, Juice? What does that mean when someone says, I wouldn't say that?
What does that mean?
Yeah, when
Well,
someone
maybe
says,
he
I
didn't
wouldn't
wanna
say
be-
that.
Hold on. It doesn't necessarily mean that he agrees with the person what they're saying. He may not want to be rude and be like, no. He's just saying I wouldn't put it like that. I didn't. He was not saying I didn't like. He's not saying I didn't like her. I wouldn't. He said I wouldn't say
Nah,
it.
sorry, Juice. You
Deflection,
sound like you're
deflection,
from London. You
deflection
sound like
is
you're from
better.
London. You sound like you're from England. We know as Mandan when you say I'm not trying to put it like that. You know what you actually mean. Please, let's not do this. This guy deflected from the actual statement at hand, and he didn't shut it down. End of. Done.
Oh my God. But if you're being real, as I said earlier, and I didn't want to say it, does this man sound like he's some intellectual savant? He's not going to respond. Listen, if that was Kojo, I would be more vexed at Kojo if he said something like that, because I know you have the capacity. Me,
Are you saying he's dumb?
This is a man that probably has a vocabulary of like 100 words.
Jesus Christ.
Oh, Juice. Juice. You don't have to devalue your guy before you.
It's the truth.
This will not work in a court of law.
It's not an excuse.
Even when he was describing stuff to do
not an
with
excuse.
that had nothing.
Even children with a vocabulary of 100 words can say, I like that, I love you, I want this, I want that. It's not an excuse.
Okay. Kojo, when you interview people, there are some people that can go deeper than others and some that don't. You know that for a fact. When you're talking to them, they go in depth, they go into this. Other people, oh yeah, this happened, that. They can't go at a certain level. So you have to change the way you're questioning them, because you can see, this person don't have that kind of depth to them. He just doesn't look like he has that.
So you're saying Simone married somebody? Oh,
yes.
Go.
Yes, she would.
No,
Yes,
I was going to say, I just don't think it's that deep to have to go into where I have to go almost into counseling mode with the person before they can tell me how they feel about their girl. Like, if I have to go to that level, I'm not saying that, I'm just saying, because that's like what I usually do. On an interview, I play like a counselor. So the tone, the way I talk, the way I take my time, I'm asking questions to bring understanding so the audience can understand what's going on. I don't think you need to do all of that to be able to even get to a point where a brother they ask you a question, do you not like your girl? And you just have to respond with, I wouldn't say that. It should be absolutely no. Because what you heard is a guy trying to set you up on a question that's telling you that you don't like your girl. And if that's clearly not the truth, you would stand on business. I don't think that needs to be intellectual at all. Like, brothers from the hood would shoot you for less because they would hear that and be like, what's this brother trying to tell me that I don't like my girl? You know we're from ends. That would never wash with Mandem and the ends. You can't never talk to another man and talk about his girl like that. It would never run. He doesn't need intellect to answer that question.
That's not a lack of intellect. That's ignorance. That's a different kind of man. That's something completely different. That's an ignorant man.
No, I'm not saying about the shooting. It's more a case of Mandem on the ends.
I was gonna make, you read my mind. I was gonna make that point earlier that certain man would just get vexed at that question, innit? But he's not trying to be like that. He says, no, I wouldn't say that, and then he goes into something else. I understand what you're saying. Certain people just get vexed overall and be like, what are you trying to say? Like, what? But as I said, I don't think it's malicious. He just goes on to that. He doesn't say anything negative about her. He just tells the truth, and I think he's making people uncomfortable. I understand. He didn't put it in a nice, cozy way that people would have liked. I agree. I wouldn't have said that. I would have said the same thing that you were saying in it. But
why would you say the same thing I'm saying, Juice?
No, listen to what I'm saying. Me looking at the full interview, and even when he talks about his life and other stuff, he is not someone that is going into depth in anything. He's not giving 54 minutes for anything.
No, because you're giving him. Okay, so Juice, I asked the gentleman this moment. I said all four of us agreed that we probably wouldn't handle it this way. I said, why is it all four of us would not handle it this way? Now you're the sixth man on here. Why wouldn't you handle it this way? I want to know why you wouldn't handle it this way, Juice.
Because I would be hyper aware of how it could be perceived and how it would be perceived by my woman, innit? The interesting thing about that is that she seemed very happy, and that didn't seem to faze her when he told the story.
No, she wasn't.
I know in personal status, I know how that could be perceived by my lady or whoever I'm with at the time. So I'm going to make sure I overstate, no, it's not like that. I love her, blah, 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 and all this other stuff. But she seemed to be fine by what he said. She didn't seem perturbed by it. So.
I hear that. So, but that goes back to my point, right? Let's just focus on the man situation. We have 6 men on the panel. This is why I don't get why we're even arguing about this. We have 6 men on the panel who all agree they would never handle it like that. And then we're pretending as if, well, not every man would handle it that way. We never have conversations on this panel about how, oh, not every man handles it the same way. I think it's an absolute cop-out as an argument if you use not every man would handle it this way. Because when we talk about stuff about relationships on this platform, we talk about best practice. Right? We talk about best practice. Of course, not everyone's going to handle the same thing. We know that already. We're talking about best practice. And we're talking about when you do an action, what are the consequences of that action? What does that action actually mean? So when we're talking about the fact that a certain man wouldn't do it this way, I think we're being disingenuous with the argument. We're trying to find an argument to argue the thing. And it shouldn't be an argument because we never argue this way on the platform. We never argue and say, well, that's how you do it. One guy would never do it. We know what best practice is. That's what we discuss on this platform all the time. So why are we shifting it now suddenly to make it comfortable for ourselves to say, well, actually, that's how you would handle it. But 6 men are here telling us the same thing. They wouldn't handle it this way.
Well, Kojo, I just think because we are disagreeing on your deduction, and that's where my disagreement with you is, and that's why I'm pivoting it back to you, because I don't think just because it might not have been my words, then that means or equals, oh, he doesn't like her. Oh, he really doesn't find her attractive. Oh, there's a problem with, their relationship. I don't think that just because he could have chose better words, that meant that. I also don't agree with the leap that you're making where he said you don't fancy your wife. He was talking about how their relationship began. And that's the point that the host was trying to drive home. He said, so you're the catch. So she's the one that went after you. And then the only point he stopped him, whatever language we want to use about that, is he said, what the issue is, or where they were different on their relationship, was the fact that he wasn't ready to settle down and be serious when she was. So I'm not agreeing with how you leapt from he could have chose a better word, so now that means he doesn't like Simone. I'm not there.
Okay, so let me ask you the question. You don't like your wife, and your response is, I wouldn't say all that. What does that mean, Sean?
I don't like my wife. What?
Yeah, if I say you don't like your wife, and then you say to me, if I said to you, Sean, do you like your wife? And someone answers, let me not say to you, but if I ask that question to somebody, do you like your wife? And the person then says, I wouldn't say all that. I wouldn't say that. What would you deduct from that situation?
But that's not what happened.
That's what?
Kojo?
What?
He didn't
That's
ask
what
him. He
happened.
didn't like his wife.
That's
exactly what happened. That's exactly what happened.
Tape. He wasn't watching. He wasn't watching.
Come on, Sean.
I'm confused. The
question.
He doesn't like his wife. He said.
The question that was asked to him, posed to him, is, I would deduce that you don't like your wife, right? You don't, or whatever he said. What it was about wife. What? You didn't want your wife or whatever, right? You don't want your wife. I think that's what he said, right? And he answered the question by saying,
yeah, we gotta rewind that because I never heard he didn't want his wife.
Okay, so let me rewind it. Probably maybe I misquoted that.
He basically, he said, right, because he prefaced it too. Can I just say, in this thing, the interviewer prefaced what he said because he knew what he was gonna say was a bit wild, and he was like, okay, but I'm gonna just say this. If I said, he was basically like, so what you're saying is that Jonathan, whatever his last name is, didn't want Simone Biles. That's what he said. That was the statement that he said.
So I'll play the clip and then you can go.
So in truth, if I say this out loud, was Jonathan Owens ain't really want Simone Biles, is what you're saying.
At the time,
that's what
I'm not gonna say that.
That's what you're saying.
I was afraid. I was afraid to commit. I'm like, man, this is my 3rd year. I'm trying to. I'm like, it's kind of early.
No denial. Sean.
Yes.
You see the tape?
I did see it. And I still, what he's asking him was when their relationship started, he didn't want Simone Biles. And he said no.
He didn't say no, but I'll go on.
I wouldn't say that. What I would say is I wasn't ready to settle down. Meaning at the start of their relationship, he wasn't ready for her. or he wasn't ready for seriousness in the beginning of their relationship. That's not a present day statement. It's about how their relationship started. That's what I took away from it.
He didn't say no, by the way, Sean. So go for it, Precious.
He
Yes.
didn't. No.
I was gonna
He didn't say no.
say, I understand what Sean is saying, but I think what we're missing here a little bit is how did this presenter come to this conclusion? Because what he was saying, because the way he phrased that question, because the entire time that this guy was talking, the presenters were looking at him sideways, laughing.
Thank you.
Because what he was saying was wild to them, right? So he came to this conclusion by saying, okay, so what you're saying is you didn't want her. But okay, what part of, I guess the idea is, okay, so Simone Biles is chasing this guy. Just because, right, and there's nothing wrong with her chasing him, but I will say this, just because you're chasing somebody doesn't mean they don't want to be chased. So if he wanted you, that would come through in his conversation, regardless of whether she was chasing him or he was chasing her. But the way that he's phrased this whole story, whether it was brutally honest or not, makes it seem to these presenters that he didn't want Simone Biles. Hence why he's come to this conclusion and he's made that statement. Because if he kind of phrased it in a way where it made it obvious that, okay, yeah, Simone might have been the one chasing, but he wanted to get caught, then there wouldn't be a conversation. But in that entire thing that he was talking, he didn't make it sound like he was really that into her. He made it sound like, yeah, she was nice. She was doing all the work, and I kind of went along with it, and I fell in love. That's how it sounded, and that's why he came to that conclusion. And then he didn't outrightly shut it down. In the first thing he said was at the time. That's the first thing he said, and then he stopped himself. If you listen to the tape back, he said at the time, he stopped himself, and then he said, I wouldn't say that. Implying that, yes, you're kind of right along those lines, but I wouldn't phrase it like that. That's basically what that statement sounds like. So I think the whole debate here is that whole interaction didn't serve the reality of what their marriage probably is, which is a happy in love marriage. We didn't leave that conversation seeing the marriage in that way, and it did a disservice to their marriage. And I think that's what people are really having an issue with, because if the podcasters are saying, actually, no, when you see them together, they're super, super in love, they're, all of that stuff, great. Okay, so why didn't we leave that interaction feeling like that? We didn't leave this interaction feeling like that. So hence there is not effective communication going on there. And I think for him, he just didn't have the tact to say it. It's not even about necessarily even emotional intelligence or being smart. Sometimes people just don't have the tact to say things in a way that needs to be said when they're on some form of media platform. And I think he just did a disservice to his marriage, because he could have used that opportunity to have us leave that interaction viewing them as happy as we saw them in the pictures when they got married in the first place. But we didn't leave that interaction, hence why this conversation is even happening. So if this conversation is happening, that means the communication was not done effectively. So that's, I guess that is what I would say. And I don't think he intended on being, I guess, doing a disservice. I think he probably does genuinely love this woman, but I just think he did a disservice to portraying that relationship, that marriage, in the way that he should have done. And it was a mistake, and he'll probably learn from it. But we can't sit here and act like we didn't leave that conversation giving everything the side eye. And that is doing a disservice to what the relationship probably is in real time.
All right,
Can I ask a question to the men?
Oh. Yeah, Siwe. Yeah, so you're not going to go for it, Siwe, and then Jason wants to go. I'm going to get Jason after.
Yeah, I just want to ask a question to the men off of what Precious just said. As men, would you guys have felt comfortable asking the question that they asked to another man about his wife if he didn't lay the groundwork to make it seem like he didn't want his wife? Because that just seems like a lot from a man to ask that about another man's wife. But I'm going to ask that because I don't want to be speaking for men. So I just want to know.
Mandem, you have the mic. Would you just a quick question answer? Would you have asked that question? I personally wouldn't have asked it personally, unless I really felt the person was moving mad. But would you guys have asked that question, Mandem?
I would only ask the question if I feel like I wanted to reel it in because I don't believe what he's portraying is what he's actually saying.
Yep.
Good point.
I think the only reason why you would ask the question because you have a reason to. It's not something that we say randomly. But after this, I'll go and I'll speak my piece anyway.
Sean, would you have asked that question?
I think yes, in the context of how it was asked. Yeah, absolutely.
Cool. Juice?
Probably yeah, innit? Like as again, because he didn't explain the scenarios that she pursued him, and that's not normal. For most relationships, don't start with the woman pursuing the man. So as I can understand why they would ask that, like, right? Because I'm guessing I think two of them are married, like, and I'm guessing in the beginning they pursued their wives. It's not normal to hear of a woman pursuing a man and then it ends up in a marriage. It's not normally how it goes. So yeah, I probably would ask that.
See where you got your answer? I don't know if you wanted to add anything to that.
No, that was helpful. Thank you.
And before Jace goes, I would just say, like, that question being asked, see where I saw it the same way you did, which is they deduced by his answers. That's why they asked that question. And I think, just like Sam said, it was incredulous the way he was telling the story. It's not about the pursuit. Pursuit is not why they did what they said, why they asked him that. It is that you don't sound like you like her. That is why they asked that question. It's not about pursuit. That's why I've never mentioned about her just pursuing and making that the main issue. It's not the main issue of her pursuing him. The issue is you don't sound like you like your wife. That's why I'm asking you, is it fair to say you don't like your wife? Do you know what I mean? But go for it, Jace.
So I was at a marriage conference earlier this year, right? And there was a lady on there who, in a similar circumstance, long story short, basically said she didn't find her husband attractive. No one batted an eyelid, but for me, I felt mad uncomfortable because I hate stuff like that. Like we've talked about it before on the platform, but that type of talk, whatever form it comes in, I dislike that because there's always opportunities to speak life into your marriage. I understand being brutally honest is cool. It's needed, but there's times where it's not needed. So I have to look at as to why he was talking like this. And someone mentioned it earlier that it was as if he was just having a man-to-man, mandem conversation. That to me is this is what it is. And the reason why I saw, when I look at Simone rolling her eyes, she weren't being disrespectful. She weren't being, anything funny. She was doing it in jest. That to me shows that this type of talking is something that she's used to. She's used to hearing him talk like this, men are the prize, I'm this. So, that's why to me, she didn't really have that reaction. But my thing will always stick on when it comes to us as men talking, like you mentioned, Coach, the best way to deal with this type of question is to deal with it properly. And that's to speak life into your marriage, speak life into your wife. Because if anything, we'll say to him, bro, on your way home, you're going to get a thank you. Probably more than just a verbal thank you. But that's what you need. These are the things you need to do in order to protect what you have. And to me, that's the only issue that I see in terms of an opportunity as a man. Because remember, there are differences. And by the way, I fully acknowledge if a woman was on here saying, and we've dealt with it before, saying very similar things, we'll be probably saying, sis, have you settled? Sis, like, what's going on here? So when I look at him, I'm going to give him the same energy and say, bro, you should have dealt with that better. However, I don't believe that he doesn't like her. I don't believe that he doesn't love her. I believe what they have is completely genuine both ways. I just think in his head, he needs to come differently. However, if that's the way he is and Simone is used to him talking like that and she's completely fine because she understands him, then to me, we're all just doing extra. We're all just doing too much because there is so much going on there that we clearly don't know about. But let's see what happens when we move forward. Let's see what the outcome is. If they ever break up, then we're going to see how Simone really feels about this situation. I just look at it as like, okay, there is one particular issue that we have, but the energy towards this, I think, Kojo, you highlighted it where it's misdirected. And there is so much going on with why people are angry about this than what the situation actually is. But I get it. There's a different expectation when it comes to men. That shouldn't be an issue. That's just how it is. We need to operate differently and take opportunities, you know, to do something that a lot of women haven't heard before, to do something that's going to actually make women feel like, okay, I can trust this man with my girl. I can trust this man with someone who is a star. You know, I want her to be able to, you know, to be looked after by a good man. And he just dropped the ball on that.
Beautiful stuff. Yeah, go for it, Sean.
Yeah. I guess where I'm seeing the breakdown and where we're seeing, you know, we're having different perspectives on this is, to me, in those questions, what they were getting at and poking fun at with him is about how their relationship started. And in all technicality, their relationship started off balance from a way that we just usually don't like anyway, which is where she pursued him. You know what I'm saying? So it's already, you know, kind of off balance in that perspective. And I think, if anything, that's what they picked up on. And then adding to that, the fact that he didn't know who she was and she was super famous, right? So those two things together was like, you really weren't feeling her in the beginning of the relationship. So I guess for me, I just looked at it as like, hey, this wouldn't be the way I would start a relationship ideally. However, this is their relationship. And that's where I say, and that's why I've continued to say, like, hey, listen, we're looking for something that's not them, because they started their relationship that way. They fell in love. Now they're married. So I'm unless I see something different that says something shifted, or he never really grew to her, or never really liked her, then, you know, I could be more on the side of, hey, listen, there's some serious red flags here. I just personally haven't seen it. So I think that's, for me, where I'm seeing the context of this conversation, and why I sit on the side that I sit on is because their relationship started off balance anyway. And Simone was more of the one pushing the needle, and he was the one more resistant at first to being serious. And, you know, that's it.
Sorry, Kojo, can
I like to tussle. Oh, go for it. So go for it, Sam.
No, I just wanted to quickly say, just from my views, I have the same energy towards a woman. So if a woman did the same thing that what's his name did, I would be outraged as well. What like, say something nice about your man. So this is on both sides. I have the same energy.
Can I just say one thing? I just want to clarify something, because I think the question, the way that he phrased it, right? He said, "So you didn't want her." That has nothing to do with commitment. For being honest, you can want someone and not want to commit to them. Yep. So in this beginning of this relationship, the idea of wanting Simone should be something that shouldn't have been contested, because you wouldn't have even gotten this far if you didn't want her in some form or fashion. Even if it wasn't like you wanted it, you may have not wanted a committed relationship, but you should have at least wanted her. You should have at least wanted her in some form or fashion. So even the question itself didn't even need for him to go to commitment, because you're already married. So clearly you're here now. So there's nothing to prove. It's not like your boyfriend and girlfriend. You're married. There's nothing to prove about commitment, because you're here now. But the idea of someone saying, oh, so you didn't even want her, you should have been like, no, I did want her. And then if you wanted to talk about commitment, you could bring it in. But you jumping straight to the idea of commitment when you're talking about it's like we're arguing two very different tenses here, because on one hand we're saying, well, we're just talking about how they got together. Okay, then if you're just talking about how you got together, so then the answer to that question would be yes, no? It wouldn't be talking about commitment, because you're talking about when you got together. So you're talking about when you first met. So you would have wanted her when you first met, because you swiped on her, you matched. So even the question itself, if you're just answering it very simply, should have just been, yeah, I did want her. It took me a while, the commitment thing, because, you know, but You didn't even have to say that because you're married now. So that's what I'm saying is that, like, I think we're lost in it here, because for it to even get to this point, for it to get to that question, means that something was poorly communicated, you know?
So should women shoot their shot?
To be honest,
Yes. Yes,
Yeah,
Siwe.
there's nothing wrong with her pursuing him. There's
But
nothing.
can we really think? Wait, before we say there's nothing wrong, can we really think about it for a second? I just want to take like a moment of silence.
Go for it.
Should women shoot their shots? Let's really think about it.
No, I don't think so.
Because I don't think so. But I want.
What do you mean by shooting your shot though? Because her shooting a shot was sending a DM. There's nothing wrong with that.
No. Not. I'm just not saying showing interest. Like you can put the little lighter on your head, be like, "Hi, hello, it's me." You know what I'm saying? But when you start traveling 45 minutes to go see a man who hasn't traveled 45 minutes to go see you, see what I'm saying?
Massage
That's
that
not a shot. That's pursuit.
Okay, so
Completely different.
let me rephrase.
That's a pursuit at that point.
Should a woman pursue a man? Will it always end up like this?
In most cases, yes. In most cases, yes, it will end badly. Because you've pursued me. This is why I said in the very beginning when I did a video live, I said the biggest issue I have with this situation is you can't hear one word of him pursuing her. You can't hear one word of him saying, I went out and got her. You can't. And as men, we have pride. And this is why I'm saying I'm taking it to the furthest extreme of the situation. And I'm saying that he doesn't find attractive. Because as men, I know how we act. We want to pursue because we also want the boasting at the very end. So if you take that away from most men, and by the way, he's a sportsman, somebody who's ready to compete, somebody who's fighting for his life, there ain't no way he wants to be robbed of the opportunity to go and get something from her. Do you get what I'm saying to you? If you approach me and start talking to me, that's not you pursuing me. You're shooting your shot. You're positioning yourself. Hey, how you doing? You good? And I continue the conversation now, right? Now, I would say, listen, if at the end of that conversation I don't ask for your number, keep it pushing. Because you've done everything you can do in that moment, and I'm still not asking for your number, let it go. Move on. Do you get what I'm saying to you? Right? But if you get to a point where now you are also, it seems, and that's what I'm saying to you, he doesn't change that narrative. That's why they ask him that question, because at not one point does he change that narrative of the men. And the men were laughing at what he was saying, and that's why they came with that conclusion. They wanted to give him another out. Hey, bro, you don't like your girl? And he's meant to say, no, I do like my girl. This, and this. This is also why when I'm on their Instagram and I'm looking at them going and saying, we're talking too much. I'm like, no, but you posted that clip knowing exactly how we'd feel about it. Don't be a fool and act like you don't know what you did. I also hold the boys accountable on the pivot, because whoever edited and put that clip out, don't come out now and act like you're surprised at the audience moving mad at what they saw, because you presented something to us. Do you get what I'm saying to you? A whole 54 minutes, you couldn't present something that would be nice about what he said about his wife? Well, that's not my fault. That's your fault. You know what I mean? So at that point, I'm holding the boys accountable too, because you put that clip out. So don't now come on your Instagram and be acting like we're crazy for what we feel about it. You all are doing too much. They love each other. Do they? Because you didn't show us that. You talk about they love each other. You didn't show us that. Can somebody say they saw that in the clip? Because she was smiling? Ashley's smiling. Sharice is smiling. Zadia is smiling. Huh? But every week we come on this thing, every week, Saturday or Monday, these people, Sean, myself, C-Way, Jay, we see Zadia, we see all of them smiling, and we say, no, just because they're smiling doesn't mean that. Sometimes people are naive. Some people are not clued on. Sometimes some people are willing to suffer and take the little they have, because they themselves have low self-esteem and low self-confidence. I think that's where Simone is. We haven't discussed it. Tomorrow we'll discuss that Simone's situation properly. I think she's low esteem and low self-esteem, because if you let a man put you in that position, I'm definitely going to call you dead. But go on, Jace.
I'm going to agree with you on that, yeah, because one of the things I highlighted is that it seems that she's actually used to this conversation. Now, to me, I wouldn't be comfortable with that. And this is what leads me to think in the beginning, if she didn't pursue him, he wouldn't have pursued her. And that's where it starts. So to answer that question, I would say shoot your shot, but allow a man to pursue you, because as we know, it often ends up in issues. And what Kojo is highlighting is, up to this point, at least, I'm sure this is the first interview that he's done, really, because I haven't seen nothing else beyond that. And I'm talking about an interview that delves into his personal life, not just sports, right? At the first opportunity, he's basically saying how he feels. And there's nothing really around that, right? He's saying how he feels. And in saying that, he missed the mark to actually uplift. And I keep saying this, he missed the mark to actually uplift his situation. And that's where the problem lies. Because every single guy is going to tell one of us, like, I'm going to say this again, every single guy is going to tell their guy, when you have those opportunities, the best thing you can do is uplift. That's an opportunity to go in. That's what you need to do. If you don't do it today, do it next time. It's just, for me, because they are used to having these conversations behind the scenes, and I'm 100% I believe that he didn't feel the need to answer that way in that particular point in time. And this is where I agree with Kojo, is that means, okay, there is a greater issue behind the scenes. Now, does this mean they have an awful relationship or bad relationship? No. I just think there is something to address to make sure it doesn't get there. And this, to me, is, it is a concern, because I would want Simone to say, hey, when people ask you questions, please uplift me. When people ask you questions, please uplift. Or do you really feel like you are, you're better than me? Do you really feel like you're, like, because I chased you, that you're the prize? And even if I'm transparent, the girl that I'm with today, right, we was together 10 years ago. And in the beginning was a similar situation. Now, when she brings it up, because sometimes she likes to banter about it, straight away I say, no, I actually wanted you. But the reason why I didn't want to commit all the way back then was because there were specific reasons which she knew about. But it's still something that she would try and poke me about, jokingly, every now and then. But I make sure first and foremost that she knows, no, I did want you. It was just a circumstance. Now, turn it around to over 10 years later, she doesn't know what hit her with the way I pursued her. But I made sure she knew that, because that was a safe place for her to be in. I didn't want her feeling like she's chasing me. So I just look at this from quite a simple point of view. As a man, there's a different expectation. Yes, if a woman was to say it, we'll be talking about it too. But let's be honest, the energy from a lot of women wouldn't be the same. So therefore, it's okay to address that. From a man's point of view, there is a different expectation of how he needs to talk about his missus, how he needs to deal with things. Why? Because there is a saying, how you talk about your relationship or your partner tells everyone how you actually feel. And unfortunately, this is his doing. This is what they've caused. The guys on the pivot, they knew what they was doing. They knew how they was leading the question. They did try and give him an out, but he wasn't really seeing that. But that's because he felt he was in a safe place talking to the man them. So, sometimes this happens and it's unfortunate. But yeah, this is where we are.
Yeah, to me, it gives. I couldn't help thinking this when it was going on when I was watching it, but it seemed like he was embarrassed. Like he was trying to downplay her because he was embarrassed. And I'm gonna go out to say, I'm gonna go out to say that he was embarrassed because she might not visually be something that he would brag about with his voice. I think she's a beautiful woman. Let me make that statement very clear. But it gave the impression that, like, yeah, I'm just gonna go with the flow, but I don't really like her like that. Like it gave that. And that made me think, okay, why marry her? And the only thing I can think of why he would marry her is the benefits that she would have to him economically, or how she would boost his reputation. Like, but behind closed doors with the boys, he's gonna downplay her. And for what? So, like, if she's well-rounded in every way, she's educated, she has a career, she has money, what other reason would you downplay her if it wasn't how you visually think she may be perceived from the inside group, so that's where I got from it right now.
I agree with you, C, so much, because again, back to the point where I think one of the interviewers asked him, or he said, whichever way it was, the moment he knew she was the one, he gave some long ass story about how people were turning around to greet Simone, XYZ. And it was giving opportunist. It was giving, you know what, she's going to boost my career somehow, or I'm going to benefit being with her in that way. I just feel like that's when you're saying, I knew she was the one, there's an endearment, there's stories to it, like something of significance, something of remembrance. Not some poxy story about, oh yeah, when she was greeting people and people were turning around. Like, no.
Yep. That's true.
Well, I just wish these people well at this point because we don't run them down to the ground. So I hope y'all side is wrong just for the sake of their marriage. Because y'all done ran them down to the ground for the last 2.5 hours. You know, and I ain't finna fight for nobody's marriage that hard. Listen, my opinion has not changed, but I just wish them well and forget about me. F me and my opinion and my loafers. I just want to be right because I want these people's marriage to last. Good Lord. I just want their marriage to last. Good Lord.
To be fair, I feel like it's fine. I feel like their marriage is fine. I think they probably are in love and they're happy. I just think, like what Jay said, he missed an opportunity. He didn't shoot his shot correctly in that specific situation. And he let the side down a little bit. It's okay. We all make mistakes. I think they're fine though. I think they'll be okay.
And also quickly in all of it. Sorry, Kojo. No, you go.
No, you're good. No, you're good. Okay. I wasn't making a face at you.
In all of it, and this is where I will be a little bit, and I do apologize to the guy, but you do sound a little bit feminine in the whole situation because you made it seem like she was pursuing you the whole time. And that's what the man does. So even in that regard, you didn't even correct it. So why? This is the whole thing of why when the presenter said what he said, it even confuses me a lot more. Why you didn't just say no? This is what I meant to say, or this is what I'm trying to say, and you put it again to how she was pursuing you. It just sounds a little bit more feminine to me. And I know you're not a feminine guy because of what you do and stuff like that. But it's just the way you portrayed things. It's just and the presenter said what most people would have said. You are sounding like you didn't like her. Or you didn't want her in the first place. And I'm glad you kind of said that.
You can't fake body language. You can't fake tone. You cannot fake what you literally say. The way that you act and the way that you carry yourself in a particular moment says a lot. And you can say that a lot of people can say he was caught unawares about the question. Anything to do with your wife who is a representation of yourself and you look as if that you're not happy about the question and you're trying to find some other way of phrasing it and you can't be direct about the question, whether or not you want to be with your wife as you would be sexually attracted to her. But if you're coming across as if that you don't really feel her like that, what do you expect the audience to think? What do you actually expect? That's all I'm saying is that, yeah, you in those moments, yeah, he made a mistake perhaps, but that was his opportunity to protect this wife and uplift her. Not by doing the most, by actually just having a simple compliment. That's all. And he failed to it. So that's why, and the fact that the fact that the guys had to look at him and like even the guys, a man to man having to do that says a lot. That literally just says a lot. And
it's the look that we men like recognize. Like we know you ain't like you're chatting. There's some bull that you're chatting right now in what you're saying. Like it's that look. Do you get what I'm saying? Like as I said, and Jason also said it as well, is that when you're having a talk with the man, then it's either two things. You're trying to play it down because you're actually whipped on your wife or your girlfriend, or you actually didn't like her in the first place. That's what the whole conversation sounded like. I know that he likes her or loves her because he married her, but the way you portrayed it, which the presenters basically was trying to say to you, you didn't like her in the first place.
And I just don't think this is the first time he's hearing something like this. This is surely not the first time that Jonathan is hearing these kind of things. I mean, they're both on social media. Surely they might have seen a comment here or there, or the tabloids. This is not the first time he must have heard this. So would he not have been more prepared? I don't know. And even after this, if he does another interview, I just feel he'll be saying stuff about Simone and the things that he likes about her just to save face, just because he's seeing people's reactions now. So it's like, I don't even know what's true or not. If you like your wife or not, God knows.
Do you think we're only saying this because it's Simone Biles?
Wait, which part?
Like, no, I'm saying as in, like, I've seen some comments about it, and I think, like, is it because she's not the typical kind of, like, footballer's wife? She's not the typical, like, I think she's a beautiful woman, but for example, I don't think many people would be like, oh, she's a baddie. Is that playing a role in this conversation a bit? Do you know what I mean?
Who you're talking about. It depends who you're talking about and what points you're making. Because like I said, I agreed with the guys on the fact that if we're addressing the audience, I feel like some women are missing the point. They only focused on, oh, he doesn't know who she is, but that's not the major red flag. So when Jace was kind of pointing that out, like when I see people focusing on just the fact that, oh, you don't know who she is, that tells me that you've missed the whole real issue with the situation. It's not just about he don't know who he is. That's funny to me. I won't lie to you, that's kind of funny to me. Yeah. It's after that, like we've been discussing, that question that they ask him where he doesn't check it and everything else around it, that is a big issue. So I think because it is Simone Biles and some people, I look by some of the tweets that I'm seeing some of the ladies put back, I realize they're not arguing about him being a madman. They're arguing about the fact that he thinks he's a catch and they think that Simone is a catch. Because again, it's gone into gender war argument. It's not a gender war argument for me. For me, is you should have just protected your wife, and now you got hundreds of thousands of videos on YouTube and on Twitter comments talking about you and your wife. It's the same thing I said about DDG and his girl Hallie. I said Hallie's a fool for staying with him, but she's young and she's stupid. So when she looks back, she'll realize when your man exposes you to the rest of the world and makes you a laughing stock at your expense, and they don't cover you, know that this will continually happen in other situations. You'll be embarrassed again and again and again and again. And this is an embarrassing moment. And him posting on his profile, talking about how great and beautiful she is as his birthday, doesn't sway me one bit. I've seen this so many times before with celebrity couples. They do that, the next month they're divorced. So I don't want to hear nothing about that. In that moment, what you should have done is what you should have done. You ain't do it. And it is not a slip because you had 2 to 3 minutes, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 minutes to correct it and put something else in place, and you didn't. You know what I mean? So yes, there are some arguments I think that are a bit swayed on to just about her status-wise. But honestly, even if it wasn't Simone Biles, even if the girl wasn't pretty, I would still have the same argument. That nigga don't want you. Not, and maybe I'm going too extra and some people don't want to go there because everybody wants to believe in this marriage. Well, I'm going to stay consistent to how I do my YouTube, right? I said the same thing about Karen and Miles when Married at First Sight. I don't want to rest it here. This level of contempt usually leads to divorce. So unless he gets some good counsel who spin him quickly around and let him realize where he's made a mistake. Okay, someone said he's growing an attraction. And where he made a mistake, this will continue to happen. Him posting her up on his profile and saying how beautiful she is and how amazing she is not going to prove anything. Do you know you made a mistake? Because if you don't, you're bound to do it again and again and again. You just won't do it in public this time, but you do it behind the scenes. And that's what's concerning me about it. And that's why I'm taking it to its furthest extreme, because I'm like, this doesn't stop here if he doesn't realize he's done something wrong. And the fact is also, Simone is an enabler, because the first thing she did was, I'm going to defend my man. Okay. Yeah, you're going to find out like Marceau and the rest of them from Love and Marriage Huntsville. What's the name with, was it Tish? No, it wasn't Tish. It was Kimmy. Kimmy and what's his name? What is that guy's name? I'll be forgetting his name with the bald head. Kimmy and the other guy. I think it is Marceau. I think it might be Marceau. He said the wildest thing about his wife, Maurice, sorry, right? The wildest thing. He said, I'm just so glad she just turns over and she just has sex while she has cancer. That's what he said live on an interview. Yeah? Now, I didn't see Mandem coming up like, yeah. We knew it was wild. Yeah, but you know what his wife did? His wife came out and was like, oh, you know, I understand where he's coming from. She came in straight trying to defend her man, right? It's only now that her parents and friends and family have come to her and said to her, babe, do you know how wild that is? That she's like, well, you know what, you've apologized to me, and now you need to apologize to the family, and da-da-da-da-da. Look, people do a lot of things to keep the peace in a relationship, and sometimes it is very detrimental. So even if you see her smiling, it means nothing. If we know it's wrong, it's wrong. If somebody smiled after they've been cheated upon, we'd all be like, well, it doesn't matter whether she's smiling or not. You got cheated upon. Do you not see that's a problem? So I think we should just stick to what it actually is. It was a problem. He can't address the fact that his wife, he likes her. I think that's a huge problem. I don't think you need a second chance to do that. I think you just need to tell the truth. You ain't like a woman.
Yeah, Kojo.
But that's me being a bit mad.
I'll go after Jeff.
Yeah, Kojo, can I ask you a question? Yeah.
Go for it.
Solomon Butchie and Arike,
Jesus.
Toby Nwigwe, that Jonathan and Simone, Derek and Danae Jackson. What is the common similarity you're seeing in all these four relationships?
They're Nigerian. Check it.
I'm gonna need
you to defend.
Kojo, you're stepping on territory now. Kojo.
I'm so sorry. I'm playing. 2 out of 4 were Nigerian. I was lying. I'm playing. 2 out of 4 were Nigerian. No, I don't know what the common denominator is. Sorry, I apologize.
No.
Go for it, Jeff.
There's always a dynamic where one person is quote unquote more attracted than the other, and either one person decides I want to downplay the attraction, or another person is basically doing the most just to get the other. How and this is what's happening right now. You got Simone Biles, who I guess in the eyes of Jonathan, she's not the one look wise. He in his eyes is he knows he's a nice catch and stuff like that. How many times do you find these type of relationships actually ending? I hope this one is the one that actually is able to be sustainable. But whenever there's a case of a dynamic where one person feels that they're better than another, they feel they're superior than another, they'll do dubious things, and I'm not with that nonsense. That's what I just wanted to say.
Go for it, Jace.
I just want to say, Precious, to answer your question more directly. I can't say yes to the panel because I don't feel anyone said anything on the panel that is highlighting Simone Biles in that way. But based on the comments, is something, not just the comments in this chat, but just how people have talked about it. I alluded it in when I first started speaking. We assume, I'm going to use the word assume, that someone that looks like her husband wouldn't go for someone that looks like Simone Biles. And what we can see is that the way, Simone pursued him, we can definitely see that this guy is who she wanted. We can't say for sure that Simone is who he wanted, right? So I would say, yeah, I think a lot of people don't really want to have that conversation because they don't want to say that Simone Biles is, not that she's not attractive, but they don't want to say that she's a baddie. She's not a baddie, conventionally, based on society standards, based on, other types of women that are called baddies. I mean, the same thing, someone mentioned in the chat, but the same thing happened with Kiki. Before Kiki grew up in the way she did over the past year, she wasn't getting talked about in terms of her looks in the same way. And there's a different type of energy that comes with that, right? So to me, in general, answer to your question, yes, but it's something that people don't really want to address. And this is why people are questioning her husband. Bro, do you actually like her? Or did you like what she represented, what she was about, what she could do for your career? Which is a valid question to ask. People are going to be distrustful when it comes to that. However, because we don't know him, we don't know his exes. I don't know if anyone's done any research. We don't know. But it can be made worse when a woman like that completely pursues you. He may have felt, okay, she's a good woman. She's about her biz. She's doing what she needs to do. Why am I going to be out here, you know, going after these quote unquote baddies who are not even 10% of who you are in terms of your personality or character? I might not see you as that attractive, but I feel like you're the better option. There are plenty of marriages who make, you know, who, how they started is because, you know, is simply because of that. I don't like that, but I have to acknowledge it does happen. So yeah, my response to you is, yeah, that is a factor of which a lot of people are not willing to discuss, but it's something that is very, very important.
And let me just say, you know, I can't wait for tomorrow because I'm going to do another video, okay? All right? Because there's a rhetoric I'm going to keep seeing. Some people are also saying on the other side, which is, she's happy, she's in a relationship, just leave her alone. And I'm like, listen, if we don't say anything, she comes back and says, nobody told me. We going to tell you. Okay, we gonna tell you so you don't get to turn around and be like, well, nobody told me. No, we told you, and you ain't listen. Okay, all right. Now I'm not telling her to get out of the relationship or the marriage. I'm not telling her that at all. I'm saying that we need to be screaming at the young man to get help, get the man them together, get his brothers, his uncles, get her daddy, and they need to come and sit around a campfire and sit to him and say, listen, brother, you say that again, we break you. You understand what I'm saying to you? Yeah. Listen, if you don't want this girl, let me know so we can get rid of you quickly. You understand what I'm saying? You don't come and waste her good years and waste her good time and put babies in her and you ain't really want her. You know what I'm saying to you? Don't come and waste anybody's good child and good bearing years. That's just the reality of it. Like, I'm a person that I don't believe in you trying to do 10, 15 years when you don't like the person. God is not about to send you to hell because you divorced a partner. Now I believe in marriage and I believe in it, the sanctity of marriage 100% too. I also believe that people shouldn't be staying in stuff when they definitely don't like that person. People make mistakes by choosing people and they don't want them. And you know what? You made a mistake, get out. Because you're going to ruin that person. When we start talking about how, you know, we're going to pretend as if men are going to suddenly change their mind and he's going to suddenly become this amazing man. He's not. Okay, all right? You're not about to have the auntie testimony on the microphone in 15 years. Oh, you know, the good Lord has delivered my husband. We went through trials and turmoil. This 2000 turmoil, he was cheating on your ass, right? But you wanted, trials and turmoils. He was cheating on your ass. And you were suffering through that whole situation. Ain't God not asking for that? You know what I'm saying to you? So I'm trying to keep it absolutely real, and I want to keep it absolutely to an absolute black and white. I don't want to pretend, right? So that's why I'm taking it to its major extreme, because I ain't never seen a man that loves his gal ever be in a position where they can't tell you that how buff she is or how pretty she is or what they like about her or what they love being around there for, bruv. Bruv, there's girls that I don't even want to be with that can say, you know, I love the fact they like this or like that. And you can't even say one good merry thing about your partner. We should take it for what it really is. And I can understand we're taking caution and understand that it's not my fault you put this thing on our screen on the pilot. What he needs to do, if I was him, I'd be cussing out the pivot. I'd be like, why the hell did you put that clip in there like that if it's edited wrongly? Yeah, if it's edited wrongly, I would literally be telling them, I'll be like, no, Pivot got me messed up. Why did they edit the video that way? Because that's not what it was. So either you're taking it down or you're re-editing the video, right? Because that's not happening. Or I'm going to do a video to respond to what happened. Because you're not about to paint me in a position where I don't like my wife. Do you see what I'm saying to you? Like, you should be righteously angry because someone is now making out that your partner, you don't like them. And it's now global. So if you're thinking about how bad it was before that people are coming up to her and taking photos, wait till now. Women are going to be coming up to your girl and be like, Gabby, I'm so sorry about your man, but you know we love you. If you thought the pressure was going to be on before, it's going to get intense. There's going to be a white woman coming up to your girl telling her, baby, if you need help, just tell you we need help, we got you. And they're going to be putting ideas in her head for the next few years because you're a prick of what you said. Because you weren't thinking. So that's what I'm trying to say to you, like, you don't want to lessen the impact of what this is. It really is deep. Because we're going to forget, but there are people who love Simone Biles, they ain't going to forget. They're going to keep on reminding her. You know what I'm saying to you? You're going to be now up against her and the rest of the world. So good luck. And I look forward to your PR statement that comes out in the next few days that you might or might not do. And an apology. And hopefully the apology will be a good one. And hopefully your PR will write an appropriate apology to show us how sorry you actually are. Or maybe you won't do anything at all. And the Beckys and that will get you and your girlfriend, your wife later. All right, cool. Time is up. We're at 4 hours. Sean, give me the benediction. We got to get out of here. I'm late by like 3 hours, but
I
don't worry about that.
don't even know if I have a benediction in me, and I usually tease that and say that all the time. But you wear me out. So, but I'm gonna give it my level best.
No, I need you to give a fair benediction.
Hey, you settle down, okay? Settle down. All right.
My loafers are here. Okay.
Please, killing me. Listen, folks, we've agreed, we've disagreed, and I think tonight what we've learned is that words are important, words matter. So choose your words wisely when you speak of your loved ones, especially those you are in marriages with, right? You know, we not often need to be super concerned with what the world thinks, but we should be aware, right? We don't have to be overly concerned, but we should be aware of the perception, right? So don't leave room, don't leave doubt. You know, in anything that you love, be questioned. On the other side, sometimes what's understood does not need to be overly stated, right? So some folks come from that school of thought and from that school of believing. You know, we can opine, we don't know, we may know. Back to you, Coach.
You're on mute, bro.
Oh, am I still muted?
No, you're good now.
Can you hear me now? Okay, cool. Yeah, listen, guys. Someone said the benediction is rich in a little bit of oil. Mark said it's rich in the oil. Sean said that's the best you're going to get, okay? Before I say something wild. But listen, it's been an amazing conversation. We've debated, and, you know, I always appreciate when me and Sean go back and forth, because I know we can handle the heat when we go hard on each other. So appreciate your perspective, and JR's as well, and Juice, who was here earlier as well. It helps with the conversation and for us to have really good open-ended convos. So thank you for the rest of the guys and the girls too. Jace, Seaway, Queen E was here earlier, Precious, Maury, Sam, Jeff, appreciate you guys coming up. C was here earlier as well. It was good conversation, and you know, we appreciate everybody's point of view as well. Shout out to Simone. We wish her the best, and we pray that this relationship and marriage will last the test of time as well. Okay, but listen, ladies, for you, don't be pursuing these man them. Okay, this is big brother to sisters. Don't be pursuing. Position yourself, and that means you may send a message or a text, but let's not pursue. Okay, all right, let's not pursue. It's not cute. Okay, you're gonna end up on this podcast or somebody saying they don't know how they love you and what they care about you. Anyway, listen, I got to go. I appreciate y'all. Stay locked, stay loaded. We'll see you again soon. In fact, I think this meme is absolutely brilliant for this. Okay. Yeah, it's beautiful. You said, what about your wife? Yeah, you didn't say nothing nice? Okay, that's what it is. All right, appreciate you guys. Stay locked, stay loaded. My petty